The night stretches wide, and time no longer counts. You don't know what hour it is, and it doesn't matter anymore. There is only this moment unfolding like the slow opening of a lotus in the dark. In the silence, the world falls away, and you begin to hear only the sound of your own breath. It is gentle, steady, as if the breath itself has always been here, always belonged to you. As you breathe, you realize that the night is not empty, but full of the quiet wisdom of the universe just waiting for you to listen. In this stillness, you remember the teachings not as something distant or separate, but as part of you woven into the fabric of your being. The first teaching is simple but profound impermanence. Nothing in this world lasts, not even this moment. The sky, the trees, the earth, all are constantly changing, flowing like a river that never stops moving. You are part of that flow, and yet you are also the observer of it. Can you see how this moment right now is both fleeting and eternal? Everything changes. Yet it is always here in this moment. There is a story of a Zen master who, when asked about the nature of impermanence, simply pointed to a flower in bloom. "It is beautiful," he said, "but soon it will fade." His student, puzzled, asked, "Master, why should we appreciate something so fleeting?" The master smiled gently and replied, "Because it is beautiful, because it is here now. And when it fades, something new will take its place. The flower fades, but the beauty of the moment remains forever in the heart of the one who witnesses it." You sit with this, the quiet truth that everything is in motion, yet always here. What remains when nothing is left to seek? The silence deepens and the breath slows. With each exhale, you feel more at ease, as if the world itself is breathing with you. The night, vast and unknowable, embraces you with its cool, gentle arms. In this space, the next teaching whispers to you no self. It's a thought that has been with you all along, but it may be hard to hear clearly at first. The self, the I that you often identify with your body, your thoughts, your identity, is not what it seems. Like the river that flows and changes, so too does the self. It is not fixed, but ever-changing, a wave that rises and falls. Imagine yourself as a drop of water in a stream flowing endlessly with the current. You are part of the stream, yet not separate from it. The Zen masters speak of this truth with quiet wisdom, pointing to the nature of the mind. When you sit quietly, you may notice thoughts arise like ripples on the water. These thoughts come and go, but the stream remains always flowing, always present. There is an ancient story about a monk who was asked, "Who are you?" The monk replied, "I am the sound of the river, the rustle of the leaves, the warmth of the sun." When asked again, "Who are you really?" he smiled softly and said, "I am nothing and everything. The river flows, and I am the river." This is the essence of no self, the recognition that you are both everything and nothing. You are not defined by your thoughts, your past, or even your body. Like the river, you are simply part of the flow of life. What is left when the idea of the self dissolves? Only the pure presence of being. And as you sit in this stillness, The breath deepens and the mind quiets. You realize that there is nothing you need to do, nothing you need to prove. You are enough just as you are. In this moment, the world is both vast and intimate, and you are both a part of it and the observer of it. How do you feel when the idea of the self no longer holds you? As you sit in the stillness, something begins to shift. The weight of the world, the burdens you carry, start to feel lighter. It is as though they were never truly yours to carry, but simply things you've held on to, convinced they defined you. But now, with each slow breath, you begin to feel their release. The teaching of emptiness enters your awareness gently but powerfully. It speaks not of a void, but of a space that is free from attachment, a place of infinite possibility. In Zen, emptiness is not something to be feared, but embraced. It is not a hollow space, but a boundless one filled with the potential for all things. Imagine an open sky, endless and unobstructed, where nothing is fixed and everything is allowed to be. In this emptiness, there is no clinging, no grasping at things to give them meaning. Everything simply is, and in this simplicity, there is profound freedom. There is a Zen story about a monk who sat in meditation for days, trying to understand the nature of emptiness. When he arose weary but enlightened, he said, "Emptiness is not empty. It is the fullness of everything." His words echo in the air like a gentle wind, for they point to a truth that can only be experienced. When you let go of the need to hold on to anything, your thoughts, your expectations, your past, you find that you are already whole, already complete. What remains when you release your attachment to what was, to what could be, to what you think you need? A vastness, a peace, a freedom that has always been there, waiting for you to recognize it. And so you breathe again, feeling the space within you expanding and contracting with the rhythm of the universe. The world does not need to change for you to find peace. You are the river flowing effortlessly through it. What is left when there is nothing to hold? Only the moment, and in it, everything. The air around you feels softer now, as if the universe itself has exhaled a breath of relief, and you, in your quiet stillness, breathe it in. There is no urgency in this moment, no rush to find an answer or seek a destination. The next teaching comes to you gently, like a feather falling from the sky, the impermanence of all things. It is the eternal dance of existence, the rising and falling of the sun, the passing of seasons, the turning of the earth. Everything is in motion, and yet in that very motion there is stillness. Imagine a leaf falling from a tree. It begins its journey in the air, moves through the wind, and eventually touches the ground. It is a simple, natural process, one that has always happened, and will continue to happen unnoticed by most. And yet, if you stop and truly look at the leaf, you can see its beauty. The way it twirls through the air, the way it surrenders to the wind, the way it lets go completely in a quiet dance of impermanence. The Zen masters often speak of impermanence through images like this, reminding us that everything, whether life, love, pain, or joy, is in constant flux. Nothing stays the same. And this is the beauty of it all. It is through change that life unfolds. And in that unfolding, we find our own truth. What remains when all things change? Only this very moment, alive and vibrant here and now. It is enough. There is a story of a Zen teacher who asked his students to look at the moon. He told them the moon is always there, but we only see it when the clouds clear away. The students, puzzled, looked at him, and the teacher continued, "The clouds are like the distractions in your mind. The moon, like your true nature, is always there. It never changes." In this way, you begin to understand that even as everything else shifts and fades, there is a constant, your true nature, your own awareness, ever present behind the layers of thought and distraction. What is left when all distractions fade? Only you in your purest form. With each breath, you become more attuned to this stillness, this simplicity, and you realize that you do not need to seek anything more. You are already whole, already complete. The quiet grows deeper, and with it, a profound sense of peace begins to settle within you. It is not a peace that comes from avoiding the world, but one that arises from fully embracing it as it is. The next teaching drifts toward you, non-attachment. This is not the same as indifference, but rather a gentle invitation to release the need to possess control or cling to anything. It is the understanding that everything, your thoughts, your experiences, your desires, is temporary, passing like clouds in the sky. Imagine yourself as a tree standing in the wind. The wind blows sometimes softly, sometimes fiercely, but the tree remains rooted, unmoving at its core. The branches may sway, the leaves may fall, but the tree does not struggle to hold on to them. It simply stands in harmony with the wind, neither resisting nor grasping. This is the essence of non-attachment. It is not about letting go of love or of joy or of the things you hold dear. It is about holding them lightly, knowing that they too are part of the flow, and that holding on tightly can cause you to miss the beauty of their presence. There is a Zen story about a student who, troubled by the idea of non-attachment, went to his teacher and said, "Master, if I let go of everything, what is left for me?" The teacher looked at him with a smile and replied, "Everything and nothing." When you hold nothing too tightly, you are free to hold everything lightly. It is not what you hold, but how you hold it that makes the difference. In this moment, you sit with this teaching. What would it be like to live without clinging, without needing to control or possess? What if instead of reaching for something outside yourself, you simply allowed it to come to you like the wind that moves the branches of the tree? When you release the need for attachment, you find that you are no longer bound by the past or worried about the future. You simply are fully present in this moment, free to receive whatever comes, knowing that it is enough. And so you breathe again, feeling the peace that arises from this release, knowing that everything you need is already here. You need not search for it. You are the tree standing in the wind, simply being. What is left when you no longer need to grasp? Only the freedom to be as you are. The night deepens, and in its quiet embrace, you feel an even greater stillness, as if the world itself has settled into a peaceful pause. The teaching that comes next is simple yet profound compassion. This is the heart of Zen, the gentle recognition that all beings like yourself are on a journey of suffering and awakening. Compassion is not pity, nor is it an act of charity. It is the deep understanding that you are not separate from others, that we are all connected in our shared humanity. Imagine a stone dropped into a pond. The ripples spread outward, touching the farthest reaches of the water. Compassion works in the same way. It does not need to be loud or grand, but it extends outward, touching all things. The smallest act of kindness, a word of encouragement, a simple smile. These are the ripples that make the world a little softer, a little kinder. There is a Zen story of a monk who, after a long journey, arrived at a temple and was greeted by the head monk. The head monk asked him, "What is the most important thing you've learned in your travels?" The monk replied, "I have learned that to be kind is the highest path." The head monk smiled and said, "Then you have learned everything you need to know. Compassion is not about fixing the world, nor is it about doing something great. It is simply about recognizing that we are all part of the same whole and offering ourselves to one another with an open heart." What would it be like to move through the world with compassion as your guide? To see each person, each creature, not as separate, but as part of the same flow. You do not need to change the world. Simply offer your presence with kindness, and the world will change in ways you cannot yet imagine. And as you sit, the breath flowing in and out, you feel this truth settle deep within. You are not alone. You are part of something vast and interconnected, and in that connection, you find peace. What remains when you offer yourself fully to others, without expectation, without judgment? Only the joy of being present and the freedom that comes with knowing we are all in this together. The air around you feels softer now, as if the night itself has grown gentler in its embrace. There is no rush, no urgency, only the steady rhythm of your breath in and out, like the pulse of the earth itself. As the moment deepens, the next teaching arrives: quiet and powerful gratefulness. It is not just an act, but a way of being, an openness to the countless gifts that life offers, however small or seemingly insignificant. When you cultivate a heart of gratitude, you begin to see the world in a new light. What once seemed ordinary now sparkles with meaning, as though everything is imbued with a quiet, unseen beauty. Imagine the simplest of things: the warmth of the blanket you rest under, the coolness of the night air, the sound of your breath, the beating of your heart. Each of these things, when seen through the lens of gratitude, becomes precious. You begin to realize that there is nothing in this world that is not worthy of thanks, nothing too small or too simple to be appreciated. There is a Zen story about a monk who, after years of rigorous training, sat in meditation one evening. He was tired, his body aching, his mind restless. But in that moment, as he breathed deeply, he felt the gentle warmth of the fire in the hearth, the soft rustle of the leaves outside, and the sound of his own breath. He smiled and said aloud, "I have everything I need." In that moment, he understood that gratitude does not come from what we have, but from the awareness of what is already here right in front of us. What would it be like to carry this awareness with you through each day, to see the gifts in every moment, to feel the warmth in the cold, the beauty in the simple? The Zen masters say that when you are truly grateful, you no longer see the world as something to be conquered or controlled. Instead, you see it as something to be embraced exactly as it is. You are not separate from the world, but a part of it, breathing with it, living with it. And so you sit quietly with this teaching. There is nothing you need to do, nothing to chase or acquire. You are enough as you are in this very moment. What remains when you fully embrace gratitude? Only peace, only presence, only the quiet joy that comes from recognizing the sacredness of the simplest things. The stillness around you deepens, as if the very air has settled into a quiet knowing. The next teaching rises like a soft mist wrapping around you gently, the interconnectedness of all things. It is a truth that runs through the heart of Zen, the understanding that everything, no matter how distant or separate it may seem, is deeply interconnected. There is no single leaf that falls alone, no wave that moves in isolation. Everything is part of a greater whole, each action, each thought rippling outward, touching everything in ways we may not even see. Imagine the roots of a tree stretching deep into the earth, unseen yet vital. They spread out, intertwining with the roots of other trees, sharing nutrients, supporting one another. Though the trees stand as individuals, they are part of a vast network, interconnected beneath the soil. This is how it is with all things. Your breath, your thoughts, your actions, they are not isolated from the world. They are part of a greater web, a network that connects all beings, all moments, all experiences. There is a Zen story of a monk who, while walking along a river, noticed a small fish struggling in the shallows. He stopped and, in a moment of deep compassion, reached down and helped the fish back into the deeper water. A student who was with him asked, "Master, why did you stop to help a single fish?" The monk smiled and said, "That fish is part of the river, just as we are part of the world. When one part of the whole is suffering, the whole is affected. To help one is to help all." What would it be like to live your life with this understanding that everything you do, everything you think, is connected to something greater? You do not exist in isolation. You are part of the vast, interconnected web of life. And when you act with kindness, with compassion, with mindfulness, The ripples you create reach far beyond what you can see. And so as you breathe deeply, you feel this truth settle into your heart. You are not separate. You are part of everything, and everything is part of you. What remains when you understand that all things are connected? Only a deep, quiet peace knowing that you are not alone, and that each step you take reverberates through the universe in ways that are beautiful, mysterious, and infinite. The night hums with a quiet energy, and the world seems to exhale alongside you, as though it too is in deep, peaceful contemplation. In this stillness, another teaching gently emerges: the art of letting go. This is not the same as surrendering to fate, but rather a wise release of control, a gentle invitation to allow things to unfold as they will without forcing or grasping. Letting go does not mean giving up, but instead recognizing that there are things beyond your control, and in those things there is wisdom to be found. Imagine yourself holding a stone in your hand. You grip it tightly, feeling its weight, the coolness of the surface. But over time, the hand begins to ache, the tension building, and you realize that holding on so tightly is only causing discomfort. So slowly, you release your grip, letting the stone fall away, feeling the relief of no longer holding on to something that no longer serves you. This is the art of letting go. It is the simple act of releasing what you do not need, what is no longer useful, and allowing space for new things to enter. There is a Zen story of a monk who, after years of striving to attain enlightenment, became weary. He had worked hard, practiced diligently, but still felt incomplete. One day he sat beneath a tree and sighed deeply, saying, "I have worked so hard, yet I am still not free." The wind blew gently, and the teacher passing by stopped and asked, "Why do you struggle so?" The monk replied, "Because I am trying to achieve something, to attain something." The teacher smiled and said, "You are already free. Let go of the effort and simply be. In the letting go, you will find what you seek." What would it be like to live without the constant need to control, to strive to hold on to things, people, or outcomes? What if instead, you simply allowed the flow of life to carry you, trusting that in each moment you are exactly where you need to be? The Zen teachings remind us that letting go is not a loss, but a return to our natural state, one of peace, acceptance, and trust. As you sit quietly in the stillness, you begin to understand the depth of this teaching. What remains when you release the grip of control, when you stop striving and simply allow yourself to be only a quiet peace, a profound sense of trust in the unfolding of life. And in this trust, there is freedom. There is no need to grasp, no need to chase. You are enough just as you are. The night seems to stretch even further, its depths deepening like an endless sky. You sit in the stillness, the weight of the world now a distant thought, as a new teaching gently settles into your awareness, acceptance. This is not about resignation or complacency, but about embracing life as it is in its entirety, without resistance, without judgment. It is the ability to open your heart fully to whatever comes, knowing that every experience, no matter how challenging, has something to offer. Acceptance is the quiet recognition that life will unfold as it will, and that this unfolding is not something to be feared, but something to be welcomed. Imagine standing in a field during a storm. The rain falls in torrents, the wind howls through the trees, and yet there you stand unprotected, fully immersed in the experience. You do not fight the storm. You do not try to change it. Instead, you feel it, you allow it, and in doing so, you find that even in the chaos, there is peace. The storm will pass, but the experience of being in it, of truly being present with it, is something that cannot be taken from you. There is a Zen story about a monk who, after years of meditation, was asked by his teacher, "What have you learned?" The monk replied, "I have learned to accept everything just as it is." The teacher nodded and said, "That is the wisdom of the Buddha." To accept everything without judgment is to see the world as it truly is. What would it be like to live with this deep sense of acceptance? To meet every moment, whether joyous or painful, with the same openness and understanding. Acceptance does not mean giving up or surrendering your power. It means recognizing that you are part of the flow of life, and that the flow is always moving, always changing. You cannot control it, but you can choose how you respond to it. As you sit, you feel this truth begin to settle within you. The storm of life is always there, swirling around you, but you, the still center, are untouched. What remains when you fully accept life just as it is? Only peace, only the quiet knowledge that everything is unfolding as it should, and that you are exactly where you need to be in this moment. And in that acceptance, there is freedom. There is a deep, profound stillness where the storm no longer frightens you. It simply is. The quiet deepens, and the night seems to hold its breath, as though everything around you is waiting. With each passing moment, you feel more at ease, more settled into the rhythm of your breath, as the next teaching enters softly equanimity. This is the art of balance, the ability to remain steady in the face of both joy and sorrow, pleasure and pain. It is the recognition that all experiences, whether pleasant or painful, are temporary, and that the true peace lies in not being swept away by them, but instead in accepting them as they come, with the same openness and clarity. Imagine standing on the edge of a mountain, looking out over the vast landscape. The sun is setting, casting a warm golden light over everything, and the winds blow gently. There is a stillness in the air, a calmness, but also a recognition of the constant changes happening around you. The wind moves the leaves, the sun sets, and yet you remain steady. You are the observer of these changes, not the victim of them. Equanimity is like this, being able to stand firm no matter what arises, knowing that you do not need to react, but simply to witness. There is a Zen story about a monk who, after losing everything he owned in a fire, sat calmly in meditation. His fellow monks, seeing his calmness, asked him, "How can you be so at peace after losing everything?" The monk replied, "I did not lose anything. I simply no longer have what I had before. The fire has burned the form, but the essence remains. I am still here just as I was before." This story reminds us that equanimity is not about suppressing our emotions or pretending that we don't feel the storms of life. It is about recognizing that all things, both joy and sorrow, rise and fall like waves on the ocean. They come and go, and we do not need to grasp at them or push them away. We simply let them be, knowing that they are not permanent. What would it be like to move through life with equanimity, to meet each moment, whether joyful or painful, with the same steady heart? The Zen teachings show us that equanimity is not about detaching from life, but about fully experiencing it without getting caught in the extremes. When we learn to remain balanced, to accept both the light and the dark, we find a peace that is unshakable. And so you sit with this teaching feeling, the balance within yourself, knowing that no matter what comes, you are steady, rooted in the calm of your own being. What remains when you are no longer pulled by the winds of emotion, but instead stand firm in your own center? Only peace, only a deep knowing that all things, whether joy or sorrow, are part of the flow, and that you are always at the heart of it. The world around you seems to dissolve into a serene quiet, where even the passing thoughts seem like distant whispers. In this stillness, another teaching arises: patience. It is the gentle reminder that everything unfolds in its own time. There is no need to rush, no need to force things to happen. The natural rhythm of life moves at its own pace, and to live in harmony with it is to trust that everything will come when it is meant to. Patience is not passive. It is an active form of trust. The belief that everything is unfolding exactly as it should in its own time. Imagine a seed planted in the earth. It does not hurry to grow. It does not strain against the soil, demanding to reach the light. Instead, it waits quietly, steadily, knowing that in time it will sprout, it will grow, and it will become what it is meant to be. Patience is like this. It is not about waiting for something to happen, but about understanding that growth and change take time. The seed does not need to rush. It simply needs to trust the process. Trust that it is already becoming. There is a Zen story of a monk who, after years of practice, asked his teacher, "Master, how can I achieve enlightenment?" The teacher looked at him and replied, "When the time comes, you will know." The monk, puzzled, asked again, "But what must I do to speed up the process?" The teacher smiled and said, "The tree does not hurry to blossom. It simply waits for the season to come." This story speaks to the heart of patience. It reminds us that we are not in control of the timing of our lives. The more we try to force things, the more we push against the natural flow. Patience is about surrendering to that flow, trusting that everything has its own timing. In the same way that a flower blooms when the season is right, so too will we unfold at the right moment. What would it be like to move through life with this sense of patience? to trust that all things, whether dreams, desires, or changes, will come in their own time. The Zen teachings show us that patience is not about doing nothing. It is about trusting and allowing, knowing that everything is already in motion even when we cannot see it. And as you sit feeling the quiet space around you, you realize that there is nothing to hurry. There is no need to rush, to chase, to grasp. Everything you need, everything you seek is already unfolding in its own perfect time. What remains when you release the need for haste? Only peace, only the quiet confidence that everything is exactly as it should be, and that you are exactly where you need to be. The night around you grows even quieter, as though the entire world is moving in harmony with your breath. Each inhale, each exhale seems to match the rhythm of the earth itself. And in this deepening silence, another teaching emerges softly, wisdom through silence. There is a profound knowing that comes not from speaking, but from listening. In the quiet, we hear the truths that words cannot express. Silence holds the wisdom of the universe, and it is in the stillness that we are able to truly understand. Imagine sitting in a room filled with noise, with clatter and chatter, but then the noise slowly fades away, and all that remains is the stillness. It is in this silence that you begin to hear things you did not notice before: the faint rustling of leaves, the gentle hum of the earth, the rhythm of your own heartbeat. Silence is not empty. It is full of presence. It is a space where all things can be heard without the interference of thought, without the need for explanation or analysis. There is a Zen story about a teacher who, when asked by a student to explain the nature of the mind, simply remained silent. The student, waiting patiently, asked again and again. The teacher said nothing. After a long silence, the teacher finally said, "The mind is like water. When you let it settle, you will see clearly." This story teaches us that wisdom does not always come through words, but through the space between them. The quiet allows us to see things as they are without distortion. The more we fill our minds with noise and chatter, the more we drown out the wisdom that is always there. But when we allow ourselves to sit in silence, we create the space needed for true understanding to arise. What would it be like to embrace this wisdom through silence? To allow yourself to listen more deeply, to let go of the need to constantly speak or analyze. In silence, there is no need for explanation, no need for answers. There is only the presence of what is, and in that presence we find the clarity we seek. As you sit in the stillness, you begin to feel the depth of this truth. In the silence, there is no confusion, no need for understanding. You are simply here, breathing, being, and in that being, everything is clear. What remains when you release the need for words, for answers, for explanations, only the quiet peace of knowing that everything is as it should be. The world outside fades further into the quiet, leaving only the soft rhythm of your breath steady and unwavering. In this deepening calm, the next teaching arises subtle and profound: the power of surrender. Surrender is not about giving up or resigning oneself to fate, but about releasing the need to control every outcome, to force things to happen in a certain way. It is the ability to trust that in the great flow of life, there is a greater wisdom than your own, and that surrendering to it brings freedom. Imagine a river flowing toward the ocean. It does not struggle against the current, nor does it try to force its way. It simply flows, trusting the path it is on, knowing that its journey will end where it is meant to. The river surrenders to the natural course of life, moving effortlessly, and in its surrender, it becomes part of the vast ocean. This is the essence of surrender, not resistance, but trust. It is the act of letting go and allowing yourself to be carried by the current of life, knowing that you do not need to control every moment. There is a Zen story of a monk who was asked by his teacher, "What is the key to true freedom?" The monk answered, "To be free, one must let go of all attachment." The teacher replied, "Not just attachment to things, but to the very idea of control. When you let go of your need to control everything, you will discover the freedom that has always been there." This story teaches us that surrender is not about weakness, but about strength. It is the strength to let go, to release the need to control the flow of life. When we surrender, we open ourselves to something greater, something more powerful than our own will. In that surrender, we find the peace we have been seeking all along. What would it be like to live with the power of surrender? To trust that life will unfold as it is meant to, without the need to force or control every moment. The Zen teachings remind us that surrender is not about giving up. It is about letting go of the illusion of control and finding peace in the flow of life. As you sit breathing softly, you begin to feel the weight of your worries and fears release, as if the very act of surrendering has lifted them from your shoulders. What remains when you surrender to life as it is? Only peace, only the quiet understanding that the flow of life is always moving and you are always part of it. And in that surrender, you find the freedom to simply be. The night feels endless, its vastness enveloping you in a gentle embrace, as though the universe itself is holding you close. In this deep quiet, another teaching surfaces softly: joy in simplicity. It is the realization that true happiness does not come from the accumulation of things or experiences, but from the simple, everyday moments of life. The beauty of a single breath, the warmth of the sun on your skin, the sound of rain tapping softly against a window. These are the moments that hold true joy, if only you pause to notice them. Imagine walking barefoot on soft earth, feeling the coolness of the ground beneath your feet, the earth supporting you with its timeless presence. There is no rush, no destination, just the simple act of walking, feeling, being. The world around you may be filled with complexity, but in this moment, there is only simplicity. In this simplicity, there is a quiet joy, a contentment that does not need anything more to be happy. There is a Zen story about a monk who after years of seeking enlightenment through complex practices, finally asked his teacher, "Master, how can I find true happiness?" The teacher smiled and said, "Look at the sky. See how it is vast, and yet it contains everything. The clouds come and go, the birds fly across it, but the sky remains the same. Happiness is like the sky, vast, simple, and ever-present. It does not need to change, for it is already complete." What would it be like to live with this sense of joy in simplicity? To find happiness not in grand achievements or possessions, but in the quiet, everyday moments of life. The Zen teachings show us that when we simplify our lives, when we let go of the clutter and the noise, we create the space for true joy to arise. As you sit quietly, you begin to feel the depth of this teaching. The joy you seek is not far away, nor does it require effort to obtain. It is already here in this moment, in the simplicity of your breath, the stillness of your mind, and the peace of your heart. What remains when you embrace the simplicity of life? Only joy, only the quiet contentment that comes from recognizing that everything you need is already here in the simplicity of this very moment. The stillness deepens the quiet, growing even more profound. And with it, another teaching arises, the wisdom of acceptance of uncertainty. Life is uncertain, and the more we try to predict or control the future, the more we are caught in a cycle of anxiety and fear. But when we accept uncertainty, we embrace life as it is fully and without resistance. Uncertainty is not something to fear, it is the space where growth happens, where new possibilities arise. Imagine standing at the edge of a fog-covered path, unable to see what lies ahead. Yet instead of feeling anxious or afraid, you trust that with each step, the path will reveal itself. The fog will lift, the direction will become clear, but you need not see the whole journey to take the next step. You trust the unknown, knowing that life will unfold as it is meant to, and that you are not alone in your journey. Uncertainty becomes your companion, not your enemy. There is a Zen story of a monk who, during a time of great uncertainty in his life, was asked by his teacher, "How do you face the unknown?" The monk replied, "I simply walk forward one step at a time, trusting that the way will appear when I need it." The teacher nodded and said, "That is the wisdom of the path. The journey is not about knowing the end, but about walking with trust in each moment." What would it be like to live with this wisdom, to embrace uncertainty with open arms, to let go of the need to have everything figured out, and instead trust that life will reveal itself one step at a time? The Zen teachings remind us that uncertainty is not something to resist. It is an invitation to let go of control, to surrender to the mystery of life, knowing that in the end, everything will be as it is meant to be. As you sit quietly, breathing deeply, you begin to feel the weight of uncertainty lift from your shoulders. There is no need to have all the answers, no need to know what will happen next. The path will unfold in its own time, and you will walk it step by step, trusting that you are exactly where you need to be. What remains when you release the need for certainty? Only peace, only the freedom that comes from knowing that uncertainty is not to be feared, but embraced as a part of the flow of life. The air grows even quieter, as though the world itself has exhaled, and with it another teaching enters softly, like a whisper, the strength in vulnerability. In a world that often values strength as the ability to control, to dominate, to hide weaknesses, Zen teaches us that true strength lies in vulnerability. It is in being open, in allowing ourselves to be seen as we are imperfect, unsure yet whole, that we find our truest power. Vulnerability is not weakness. It is the courage to stand fully in the present moment, to open your heart to life with all its unpredictability and impermanence. Imagine a tree in a storm, its branches swaying in the fierce wind. The tree does not try to resist the storm or hold itself rigid. Instead, it bends, it sways, allowing the wind to pass through it. Its roots are deep, holding it firmly to the earth, but its branches, like your heart, are free to bend and adapt. This is vulnerability, not a giving in, but a strength that comes from knowing that it is okay to bend, to sway, to be soft and open in the face of life's challenges. There is a Zen story of a monk who, after years of rigorous training, stood before his teacher and said, "Master, I have learned to be strong to endure, but I still feel empty." The teacher smiled and said, "Strength is not about resistance. It is about being open to the world, as it is allowing yourself to feel, to love, to be broken, and to heal." True strength lies in being vulnerable, in letting yourself be fully present to whatever comes. What would it be like to live with this strength of vulnerability? To allow yourself to feel everything fully, the joy, the sorrow, the uncertainty, without closing off, without protecting yourself from the very things that make you human. The Zen teachings remind us that when we open ourselves fully, we discover a strength that is greater than any resistance. It is the strength of the heart, the strength of being fully alive. As you sit in this deep silence, you feel the freedom that comes with this understanding. You do not need to hide, to protect, or to defend. You are enough just as you are vulnerable and whole. What remains when you embrace vulnerability with an open heart? Only peace, only the quiet, knowing that true strength is found not in perfection, but in the courage to be exactly who you are, with all your flaws, your tenderness, and your beautiful imperfection. The world outside continues to rest in its quiet rhythm, each moment unfolding gently into the next. As you sit in the calm, another teaching drifts in softly, the art of gratitude in every moment. It is the awareness that regardless of the circumstances, there is always something to be thankful for. Gratitude is not reserved only for moments of happiness or abundance. It is a practice that can be found in every breath, in every step, in every experience. Even in the most challenging times, There is something to appreciate, something that connects you to the beauty of life, no matter how simple it may seem. Imagine walking through a forest after a rainstorm. The ground is soft beneath your feet, the air fresh with the scent of earth, and the trees stand tall, their leaves glistening with droplets of water. You feel the coolness of the air and the warmth of the sunlight filtering through the branches. It is a simple moment, but in it you can feel an overwhelming sense of gratitude. The beauty of the world is present even in the smallest details, and it is enough to bring a sense of peace and connection. There is a Zen story of a monk who, after years of wandering, was asked by his teacher, "What is the greatest treasure in the world?" The monk replied, "The ability to see the beauty in every moment." The teacher smiled and said, "Indeed, when you can see the world with gratitude, you will find treasures in even the simplest things." What would it be like to live with this deep sense of gratitude in every moment, to see the beauty in the everyday, to find the treasure in each step, each breath, each experience? The Zen teachings remind us that gratitude is not just about acknowledging the good moments, but about finding peace in all moments. Recognizing the gift of simply being alive. As you sit breathing slowly and deeply, you feel the warmth of gratitude filling your heart. You are thankful for this moment, for this breath, for this stillness. You are thankful for the opportunity to simply be. What remains when you carry gratitude in your heart? For every moment, only peace, only a deep, quiet joy that comes from recognizing that everything in its simplicity is a gift. The night around, you remain still, as if the world itself is holding its breath. Within this quiet space, another teaching rises gently, the wisdom of letting go of expectations. Life, like the wind, moves in unpredictable ways, and often our suffering arises from the gap between our expectations and the reality of what is. To live without expectation is not to give up on goals or dreams, but to accept that the path may take unexpected turns, and in those turns there is beauty and growth. It is in letting go of the rigid need for things to unfold in a certain way that we make space for life to reveal its deeper wisdom. Imagine a river flowing with ease. At times the water moves swiftly, at times slowly. The river does not fight its path. It does not hold expectations for the landscape it must navigate. It simply flows following the course that the earth has set before it. In its fluidity, it learns to embrace each rock, each bend, and each moment, knowing that there is beauty in the journey itself, not in the destination. There is a Zen story of a monk who asked his teacher, "Master, how can I achieve peace?" The teacher replied, "You are already at peace, but you are not allowing yourself to see it. Let go of your expectations and see what is already here." The monk, confused, asked again, "But how do I know what is real if I have no expectations?" The teacher smiled and said, "When you let go of your expectations, you will see things as they are, and what is real will reveal itself in its own time." What would it be like to live without the burden of rigid expectations? To trust that in each moment the path will unfold as it is meant to, and to accept that you are exactly where you need to be, even when it is different from what you imagined. The Zen teachings remind us that expectations are like walls we build around ourselves. When we let go of them, we create space for the flow of life to enter, and we can move with it more freely. As you sit in this quiet space, you begin to feel the weight of expectations lift from your shoulders. There is no need to strive to chase or to force anything to happen. All that is needed is to be here now, and to trust that the journey will reveal itself as it is meant to. What remains when you let go of the need for things to be a certain way? Only peace, only the deep understanding that life in its own time is always unfolding perfectly. And in that trust, there is freedom. The night feels even more expansive, the silence profound, as if the very stars above are listening to your breath. In this deep stillness, another teaching arises softly, the power of presence in each moment. So often we rush through life caught up in thoughts of the past or future, but the true richness of life exists only in the present. The present moment is where everything happens. It is the only place where you can experience peace, joy, and connection. To truly be present is to fully embrace life as it is without distraction, without yearning for something else. Imagine standing in a meadow at dawn. The sun is just beginning to rise, casting soft light on the dew-covered grass. Each blade of grass, each bird that flies by each breath you take is alive with the moment. There is no past here, no future. There is only this moment unfolding in its perfect simplicity. To be fully present in this moment is to feel the world in its entirety, to be one with everything, and to experience the fullness of life right here, right now. There is a Zen story of a monk who was asked by his student master, "How can I experience the fullness of life?" The teacher, who had been sitting in silence, replied, "The fullness of life is already here. It is not something you seek or attain. It is found when you stop searching, when you stop rushing, and simply rest in the present moment. The world is already full if you are willing to see it." This story speaks to the heart of presence, the understanding that life does not need to be sought, fixed, or changed. It is enough just as it is in every fleeting moment. When you are present, you open yourself to the fullness of life with all its textures and nuances, its joys and challenges. There is no need to hurry or seek more, for the moment you are in is already complete. What would it be like to live fully present in each moment, to experience life as it is without the constant pull of the past or future? The Zen teachings remind us that when we are truly present, we experience the fullness of life, not as something we strive to possess, but as something we simply allow to unfold. As you sit, breathing slowly and deeply, you begin to feel the weight of time fall away. There is no past, no future, only this moment, right here, right now. What remains when you are fully present? Only peace, only the deep contentment that comes from being alive in this moment, fully connected to everything around you. And in that presence, you find everything you need. The silence around you seems to stretch infinitely, deepening in its calmness, as though the universe itself is waiting for you to listen. In this serene stillness, another teaching quietly emerges: the grace of patience in times of stillness. Patience not as passive waiting, but as a deep, active presence, knowing that life unfolds in its own time and rhythm. There is no need to hurry, no need to push against the current. When you allow life to unfold in its own way, you find that everything comes with perfect timing. Imagine sitting by a still pond, the surface so smooth it mirrors the sky. There is no rush in the water, no urgency to move. The stillness of the pond is not a sign of inactivity, but of grace. It is a patient waiting, a quiet knowing that everything will come when it is time. The pond does not question its stillness. It simply is content, at peace, knowing that the ripples will come, but only when the time is right. There is a Zen story about a monk who, after spending years in silence, was asked by a visitor, "Master, how can I become enlightened quickly?" The teacher, who had been sitting calmly by the river, replied, "Do you see the river? It flows without hurry, without rushing. The water moves when it is time, but it does not force itself." Enlightenment is the same. When you stop rushing, you will find that it comes naturally. What would it be like to live with the grace of patience, to embrace the stillness of the present moment, without the need to push or rush? The Zen teachings remind us that patience is not about waiting idly for something to happen, but about allowing life to unfold naturally, trusting that in its own time, everything will come into its right place. As you sit breathing softly and deeply, you feel the peace of this patience fill your being. There is no need to strive, to chase, to force anything. Life is already flowing around you, and you are part of that flow. What remains when you surrender to the rhythm of life? When you stop rushing and simply trust in the timing of things, only peace, only the quiet confidence that everything is unfolding exactly as it should in its own time. The world outside continues in its quiet rhythm, and within this peace, the next teaching gently unfolds: the quiet strength of acceptance. Life often brings challenges that are beyond our control, and in those moments we may feel powerless. Yet there is an incredible strength in accepting life as it is, without resistance, without struggle. Acceptance does not mean giving up. It means embracing the flow of life with grace, knowing that by accepting what is, we allow ourselves to move forward with peace and clarity. Imagine standing on a mountain, watching a storm roll in. The winds blow fiercely, the clouds darken, and the rain begins to fall. You do not try to stop the storm, nor do you flee from it. Instead, you stand firm, feeling the power of the storm, knowing that it too will pass. The storm is part of the natural flow, and by accepting it fully, You are able to stand with it, not against it. This is the quiet strength of acceptance, knowing that there is power in allowing things to unfold as they are, without trying to control them. There is a Zen story about a monk who, after facing great hardship, was asked by his teacher, "How have you managed to endure?" The monk replied, "I did not endure. I simply accepted. The hardship was a part of my path, and I embraced it knowing that it would pass. In that acceptance, I found peace." What would it be like to live with this quiet strength of acceptance? To face whatever challenges come, not by resisting, but by embracing them as part of the flow of life. The Zen teachings remind us that life is not about fighting against the waves. It is about learning to float with them, to trust that the tide will carry us where we need to go. As you sit breathing deeply and calmly, you feel the power of acceptance filling your heart. There is no need to resist, no need to push against the flow. Life will unfold as it will, and in accepting it fully, you find peace. What remains when you embrace the present moment without resistance, without fear? Only peace, only the quiet strength that comes from knowing that everything is part of the natural flow, and you are always exactly where you need to be. The quiet continues to surround you, growing even deeper, as if time itself has slowed to match the rhythm of your breath. Within this profound stillness, another teaching rises gently, the wisdom of living with no attachment. In Zen, attachment is seen as the source of much suffering, our desire to hold on to things, people, or outcomes, expecting them to remain fixed in a way that aligns with our desires. But true peace comes when we let go of these attachments, allowing life to unfold freely, just as it is, without clinging to what we think should be. Imagine watching a leaf fall from a tree. It flutters in the wind, turning and twisting as it drifts gently to the ground. There is no resistance, no fear. It simply lets go, trusting that its path will take it exactly where it is meant to go. In its surrender, it is free. This is what it means to live without attachment, to release the need to control, to hold on, and to allow the natural flow of life to take its course. There is a Zen story about a monk who, after many years of practice, asked his teacher, "Master, how can I live without attachment?" The teacher replied, "You already live without attachment. It is only when you try to hold on that you begin to suffer. Let go, and you will see that everything comes and goes like the wind. You do not need to hold on to anything, for everything is always in motion." What would it be like to live without attachment, to release the need to hold on to what you think should stay in your life, and instead simply allow life to unfold as it will? The Zen teachings show us that attachment is not the same as love. Love allows things to be as they are, without trying to control or possess them. When we let go of attachment, we are free to experience life with an open heart, fully present to whatever comes. As you sit breathing softly and deeply, you begin to feel the weight of attachment lift from your shoulders. There is no need to hold on to anything, no need to control or force. Life is unfolding perfectly as it is. What remains when you release the need for attachment? Only peace only, the quiet freedom that comes from trusting that everything will unfold as it is meant to, and that you are part of the flow, moving gently through it all. The world around you remains deeply still each moment, stretching out into the next with a quiet grace. As you settle further into this peace, the next teaching drifts in softly, the power of compassion for oneself. Often we extend kindness to others, but forget to offer the same to ourselves. Compassion is not just for those around us, but also for the person we see in the mirror. To truly care for yourself is to acknowledge your own struggles, to be gentle with your imperfections, and to embrace your own humanity with love and acceptance. Imagine a small bird learning to fly for the first time. It flutters unsteadily, unsure of its wings, but with each attempt, it grows stronger. The bird does not criticize itself for falling or hesitate to try again. It simply continues trusting in its ability to learn. Compassion for yourself is like this. It is not about perfection, but about offering kindness and patience, allowing yourself to grow and learn without judgment. There is a Zen story of a monk who, after many years of practicing Zen, came to his teacher and said, "Master, I have tried so hard, but I still feel like I am failing." The teacher smiled and said, "You have done nothing wrong. It is only when you stop being kind to yourself that you begin to struggle. Compassion for yourself is the foundation of all growth." What would it be like to live with this kind of compassion for yourself? To treat yourself with the same kindness, patience, and understanding that you offer to others. The Zen teachings remind us that self-compassion is not a weakness, but a strength. A way to cultivate peace, resilience, and clarity within ourselves. As you sit breathing slowly and deeply, you feel the warmth of compassion beginning to fill your heart. You are worthy of love, just as you are, without needing to be perfect or without flaws. What remains when you offer yourself the compassion you so often extend to others? Only peace, only the quiet, knowing that you are enough just as you are, and that every step of your journey is worthy of love and care. The night grows even deeper, its silence stretching out, as though the world has folded itself into stillness, leaving only the gentle rhythm of your breath. In this tranquil space, another teaching emerges, the strength found in silence. In our world filled with noise and constant chatter, silence is often overlooked, yet it holds immense power. It is in the quiet that we can truly hear ourselves, that we can listen to the subtle wisdom of the world around us. Silence is not emptiness. It is a space for clarity, for connection, and for true understanding. Imagine sitting by a still pond, the surface smooth and undisturbed. The world is quiet around you, and in this silence you notice the movement of your thoughts, the subtle shifts in your mind as you become more aware of your own presence. Silence is the space where we find clarity. It is in the stillness that we can hear the whispers of our heart. the wisdom that is always there, but often drowned out by the noise of daily life. There is a Zen story about a teacher who, when asked by a student how to find true wisdom, simply pointed to a quiet garden. "Sit here," the teacher said, "and listen to the silence. The wisdom you seek is already within you, but it is in the quiet that you will hear it." The student sat quietly, and over time the stillness of the garden opened the door to a deep understanding. What would it be like to embrace silence as a source of strength? To allow the quiet moments to be filled with awareness, with presence, with connection. The Zen teachings remind us that silence is not something to be feared or avoided, but something to be welcomed. In the silence, we hear not just our own thoughts, but the subtle wisdom of life itself. As you sit in this profound stillness, you begin to feel the power of silence working within you. There is no need to rush, no need to fill the space with noise or distractions. In the quiet, you find yourself, you find peace, and you find the clarity to move forward with gentle strength. What remains when you allow yourself to simply sit in silence? Only peace, only the deep knowing that silence is the space where true wisdom grows, and in it you are always whole. The stillness deepens, and the silence grows even more expansive, like an ocean with no shore. In this sacred space, a new teaching rises gently, the freedom in non-resistance. So often we spend our lives fighting against what is, wishing for things to be different, wishing for the moment to change. But true freedom is found not in resisting life, but in embracing it as it is. When we stop struggling against the flow of life, we are able to move with it, and in doing so, we find peace. Imagine a leaf floating on the surface of a river. The current guides it gently along, and though it moves in different directions, it never fights the water. It does not struggle to stay in one place, but simply flows with the current. In the same way, when we stop resisting the flow of life, we find ourselves moving naturally with it, without force, without struggle. There is peace in surrendering to the current, in trusting that life will carry us where we need to go. There is a Zen story of a monk who asked his teacher, "Master, how do I find peace?" The teacher replied, "Stop struggling. Let go of your need to control the way things unfold. Like the river, let yourself flow. In the flow, there is peace." The monk, still unsure, asked, "But how do I know the right path?" The teacher smiled and said, "The right path is the one you are on. When you stop resisting it, you will see it clearly. What would it be like to live with non-resistance, to stop fighting against what is, and simply allow life to unfold as it will?" The Zen teachings remind us that resistance only creates tension, only deepens suffering. But when we release our need to control, to force, to fight, we open ourselves to the natural flow of life. And in that flow, we find peace. As you sit breathing gently and deeply, you begin to feel the weight of resistance fall away. There is no need to struggle against the current. Life is unfolding exactly as it should, and you are part of that unfolding. What remains when you let go of resistance? Only peace, only the deep comfort that comes from trusting the flow of life and knowing that you are exactly where you need to be. The silence around you is now profound, as though the entire world is wrapped in a quiet embrace. And in this peaceful stillness, another teaching gently arises, the deep power of inner stillness. The world outside may be chaotic, filled with noise and distraction, but within there is a quiet place that is always calm, always centered. This inner stillness is not a place we find by escaping the world, but a space that exists within us, always available whenever we choose to return to it. It is the source of all peace, all clarity, all wisdom. Imagine being in the midst of a storm wind, howling rain pouring, but within you, there is a perfect stillness untouched by the chaos around you. This inner stillness does not fight the storm. It simply remains grounded, unmoved, and at peace. It is not a place of escape, but a place of profound strength, a place where you can find yourself regardless of the circumstances outside. This is the power of inner stillness, to be fully in the world, yet untouched by its turbulence. There is a Zen story about a monk who, after years of practice, came to his teacher and said, "Master, I have tried so hard to find peace, but the world keeps disturbing me. How can I find true stillness?" The teacher took him to a lake and pointed to the water. "See the surface of the water?" the teacher asked. "It is still and calm, but only when the wind stops blowing." The inner stillness you seek is not something to wait for. It is something that exists within you, beneath the surface. When you stop struggling with the wind, you will find that the stillness was there all along. What would it be like to live with this inner stillness? To know that no matter what happens around you, there is a place of peace within that cannot be disturbed. The Zen teachings remind us that stillness is not something we need to search for outside of ourselves. It is already within us, waiting for us to return to it. As you sit quietly, breathing deeply, you begin to feel this inner stillness becoming more and more present. It is not something you need to create. It is simply there, always available, always within reach. What remains when you return to your own inner peace, when you allow the world to pass by without disturbing the calm that exists within you? Only peace, only the quiet, knowing that you are always whole, always at rest, no matter what the world may bring. The stillness deepens, and the world around you seems to vanish into the quiet, leaving only your breath steady and calm. In this sacred silence, another teaching emerges softly, the simplicity of being. Life often feels complicated, filled with demands, worries, and distractions. But true peace comes from embracing the simple act of being. To simply be present in the moment without needing to do anything, without needing to change anything, is the essence of peace. It is in the simplicity of being that we find ourselves fully alive, fully connected to the present, and free from the burden of constant striving. Imagine a flower blooming in a field. It does not try to be anything other than what it is. It does not strive to be noticed or admired. It simply exists in its full beauty, open to the world in its natural state. There is no need for effort, no need to force the flower to bloom. It does so naturally in its own time. This is the simplicity of being fully present, fully alive, without the need to seek or achieve anything beyond what already is. There is a Zen story of a monk who asked his teacher, "Master, what should I do to find enlightenment?" The teacher replied, "Be a flower. Bloom as you are without trying to be anything else." The monk, puzzled, asked, "But how can I just be a flower? What if I am not good enough?" The teacher smiled and said, "You are already a flower. You do not need to become anything. Just be as you are, fully present in this moment, and the rest will unfold naturally." What would it be like to live with this simplicity, to embrace each moment just as it is without the need to change or improve it? The Zen teachings remind us that life does not need to be complicated. In the simplicity of being, we find everything we need. There is peace in just being here, just being alive, just being. As you sit breathing gently and deeply, you begin to feel the weight of expectation lift. There is nothing you need to do, nowhere you need to go. You are enough just as you are in this moment. What remains when you embrace the simplicity of being? Only peace, only the quiet joy of simply being alive, exactly as you are, exactly in this moment. The world continues to be wrapped in quiet, as though all things are held gently by the stillness. In this peaceful space, another teaching arises softly, the wisdom of surrendering to the present moment. So often we seek to control the future or regret the past, yet true freedom comes when we let go of our attachment to these illusions and fully embrace the present. The present moment is all we truly have, and in it there is immense wisdom if only we choose to be fully here, without resistance or distraction. Imagine a river flowing through the landscape. It moves naturally without trying to change its course. The river does not ask questions, it does not struggle with its path, it simply flows. It surrenders to the landscape it moves through, trusting that the way will open before it. This is the wisdom of surrender, to trust that life in all its twists and turns will unfold as it should, and that we are part of that flow. There is a Zen story about a monk who, after years of seeking answers, finally asked his teacher, "Master, how do I find peace?" The teacher replied, "Let go. Stop seeking peace and allow it to find you." Peace comes when you stop resisting what is and fully embrace what is already here. The monk, still confused, asked, "But how do I stop seeking?" The teacher smiled and said, "You do not stop seeking, you simply allow yourself to be. When you stop searching for peace, you will find that it has always been within you." What would it be like to live with this wisdom of surrender, to fully embrace the present moment as it is without striving for anything more or trying to control what will come? The Zen teachings remind us that peace is not something to be found in the future or in the past. but something that is already present here and now. As you sit in this stillness, breathing softly and deeply, you begin to feel the flow of life moving around you, through you, and within you. There is no need to resist or control, only to surrender to the present moment and trust that everything is unfolding as it should. What remains when you let go of resistance and surrender to the moment? Only peace, only the quiet assurance that everything is unfolding exactly as it should, and you are exactly where you need to be. The silence around you grows even deeper, as if the world has quieted to allow you to hear your own heartbeat. Within this peace, another teaching arises, flowing gently, the beauty of non-attachment to outcomes. So often we set our hearts on specific outcomes, believing that happiness or peace lies in achieving certain things. But true freedom comes when we release our attachment to the way things should be and instead allow life to unfold naturally. It is in letting go of the need for a specific outcome that we find joy in the process itself, in the journey, rather than the destination. Imagine walking through a meadow. You do not rush to get to the end of the path, nor do you focus on where the path will lead. Instead, you simply walk, appreciating the beauty of each step, the feel of the grass beneath your feet, the sound of the wind in the trees, the birds singing above you. You are not attached to reaching a specific point. You are simply enjoying the experience, fully immersed in the present moment. This is the essence of non-attachment to outcomes, finding joy in the journey itself, without needing to control or predict the end. There is a Zen story of a monk who spent many years searching for the perfect meditation. After countless attempts, he asked his teacher, "Master, how can I find the perfect way to meditate?" The teacher replied, "Stop seeking the perfect meditation. When you stop focusing on the end, the way will become clear." The beauty is in the experience itself, not in the result. What would it be like to live without attachment to outcomes, to trust that whatever happens will unfold in its own time and in its own way? The Zen teachings remind us that peace does not lie in the attainment of goals, but in the acceptance of whatever arises, in the surrender to the process of life itself. As you sit, breathing gently and deeply, you feel the freedom that comes with releasing the need to control the future. You are no longer focused on what comes next. You are fully present, fully alive, and in that presence you find peace. What remains when you let go of attachment to outcomes? Only peace, only the quiet joy that comes from living fully in the present, without the need to chase after any particular end. The night continues to unfold in its gentle stillness, and the world feels perfectly balanced in this quiet moment. In this space of peace, another teaching arises softly, the art of embracing impermanence. Everything in life is in constant flux, nothing stays the same, and that is the nature of existence. The beauty of life comes not from holding on, but from accepting its ever-changing nature. When we embrace impermanence, we free ourselves from fear and attachment, knowing that everything, both joy and sorrow, comes and goes like the waves of the ocean. Imagine watching the sunset. The colors shift, fading slowly as the day gives way to night. There is no resistance to this transition, no regret for the passing of the day. Instead, there is a deep appreciation for the fleeting beauty of the moment. The sunset does not last forever, but it does not need to. Its beauty is in its impermanence, in the way it graces the world for only a short time and then moves on. This is how we can live fully present in each moment, appreciating its beauty and letting it go when it's time. There is a Zen story about a monk who was deeply troubled by the impermanence of life. He asked his teacher, "Master, how can I find peace when everything is always changing?" The teacher smiled and said, "Change is not the enemy. It is the nature of life itself. When you accept impermanence, you will see that it is not something to fear, but something to celebrate. Each moment is precious because it is fleeting. The changing nature of life makes each moment more beautiful." What would it be like to embrace impermanence, to accept that all things change, and in that change there is beauty? The Zen teachings remind us that when we embrace the ever-changing flow of life, we release the fear of loss and the attachment to permanence. We can experience life more fully, more deeply, because we know that it is always in motion. As you sit breathing softly and deeply, you begin to feel the freedom that comes with this acceptance. There is no need to hold on to the past, no need to fear the future. Everything is in constant motion, and in that motion there is peace. What remains when you embrace the impermanence of life? Only peace, only the deep understanding that everything in its changing nature is part of the beautiful flow of existence. The quiet around you deepens further, as though time itself has slowed, and with it another teaching gently arises, the power of mindfulness. Mindfulness is the practice of being fully aware in the present moment without judgment or distraction. It is not about striving to achieve something or reaching a goal, but simply about being aware of whatever is happening right now, whether it's the sensation of the breath, the sounds around you, or the feelings in your body. By cultivating mindfulness, we bring ourselves fully into life, experiencing it with clarity and openness. Imagine sitting under a tree, feeling the warmth of the sun on your skin and the coolness of the earth beneath you. You are not thinking about what happened earlier or what may happen later. You are simply aware of this moment, the rustle of the leaves in the breeze, the sounds of birds calling, the weight of your body resting in the stillness. Mindfulness is not about controlling or fixing anything, but about being fully present to the moment just as it is. There is a Zen story of a monk who, after years of searching for enlightenment, asked his teacher, "Master, what is the secret to true peace?" The teacher replied, "When you are sitting, be fully present in the sitting. When you are walking, be fully present in the walking. When you eat, eat with all your being. Peace is found in the full presence of each moment. What would it be like to live with this mindfulness, to fully experience each moment as it comes without distraction or judgment? The Zen teachings remind us that mindfulness is the key to living a peaceful life. When we are fully present, we are free from the worries of the past and the anxieties of the future. We are simply here experiencing life in its purest form. As you sit breathing deeply and calmly, you begin to feel the shift. There is no rush, no need to do anything but be present. You are fully here in this moment, and in that presence you find peace. What remains when you embrace the simplicity of mindfulness? Only peace, only the gentle clarity that comes from being fully present to each moment exactly as it is. The world around you seems to fade further into the background, as if the very atmosphere has become woven with tranquility. In this peaceful space, another teaching emerges quietly, the freedom in surrendering expectations. Much of our struggle in life comes from wanting things to unfold in a particular way. We set expectations, hoping that they will bring us happiness, and when life does not meet them, we feel disappointed or frustrated. But true freedom comes when we let go of the need for expectations and allow life to unfold as it will, embracing the uncertainty and surprise that come with it. Imagine a cloud drifting across the sky. It does not strive to be anywhere but where it is moving effortlessly, allowing the wind to carry it in whatever direction it chooses. The cloud does not fight its journey. It surrenders to the flow of the air. This is how we can live without resistance, without the constant need for things to be a certain way. When we release our expectations, we find ourselves in harmony with life's natural rhythm, moving with it rather than against it. There is a Zen story about a monk who spent years praying for the rain to stop. He was troubled by the storms that seemed to disrupt his practice. One day, his teacher asked him, "Why do you struggle against the rain?" The monk replied, "Because I do not like it." The teacher smiled and said, "The rain is not your enemy. You do not need to control it. When you surrender your expectations, you will find peace in the rain just as you would in sunshine." What would it be like to live without the weight of expectations, to embrace whatever life brings without judgment or resistance? The Zen teachings remind us that peace comes not from controlling life, but from surrendering our need to control it. By releasing our expectations, we open ourselves to the richness of life as it is without trying to force it into a shape we think it should take. As you sit breathing slowly and deeply, you begin to feel the release of expectations, like a burden being lifted from your shoulders. There is no need to rush, no need to worry about what will happen next. Life is unfolding as it should, and you are a part of that flow. What remains when you let go of expectations and embrace life as it is? Only peace, only the deep freedom that comes from surrendering to the present moment and trusting in the flow of life. The stillness around you feels complete now, as though the world itself is holding its breath, waiting for you to fully embrace the present. In this profound silence, another teaching arrives softly, the wisdom of compassion for others. Compassion is the practice of seeing others with the eyes of understanding and love, recognizing that everyone like you is walking their own path, full of struggles, joys, and pain. To offer compassion is to release judgment and to meet others where they are, with kindness and open-heartedness. Imagine sitting beside someone who is struggling, not offering solutions or advice, but simply being present with them, holding space for their pain. You do not try to fix or change their experience, you simply sit, offering your presence as a soft support. This is the essence of compassion, not fixing others, but accepting them as they are with all their flaws and wounds, and offering them a safe space to be. There is a Zen story about a monk who was walking through a village and saw a woman in deep sorrow. He asked her, "What troubles you?" The woman replied, "I have lost everything." The monk did not offer advice or try to comfort her with words. Instead, he simply sat with her in silence, holding her grief in his presence. After a long while, the woman sighed deeply and said, "Thank you for simply being here with me." The monk smiled and said, "Compassion is the most powerful remedy. Sometimes all that is needed is to be present. What would it be like to offer this kind of compassion to others, to see them as they are, without trying to fix them, and simply offer your presence and love?" The Zen teachings remind us that compassion is not about rescuing others, but about meeting them with kindness, seeing their humanity, and accepting them fully. Compassion creates a space for healing, for understanding, and for connection. As you sit breathing softly, you begin to feel the warmth of compassion growing in your heart. You do not need to do anything, fix anything, or change anything. You simply offer your presence to the world, embracing others with the same love and understanding that you offer to yourself. What remains when you offer compassion without expectation? Only peace, only the quiet joy of knowing that in being present for others, you are also present for yourself, and in that presence there is deep connection and love. The world around you feels even quieter now, as if all the noise and distractions have dissolved into the stillness. The air is soft, and your breath flows with a gentle ease, each inhale and exhale, a reminder of your connection to the present moment. In this sacred silence, another teaching emerges, the power of acceptance in the face of discomfort. Life is filled with both joy and hardship, and often we try to avoid the discomforts we encounter. But true peace comes when we accept discomfort, not as something to resist or escape, but as part of the human experience. By embracing discomfort, we allow ourselves to grow and find deeper peace. Imagine standing at the edge of the ocean. The waves are rough, the water cold, and the sky dark with clouds. You could step back from the water, avoid the waves, but instead you choose to stand in the surf, feeling the cold water rush over your feet. The discomfort of the cold water is not something to fight against, but something to accept, to feel fully. In that acceptance, you become more grounded, more present, and the discomfort begins to shift. It is no longer something to avoid, but a part of the experience of being alive. There is a Zen story about a monk who, after years of peaceful meditation, was asked by his teacher, "What do you do when discomfort arises?" The monk replied, "I sit with it fully without resisting. I allow it to be, and in that space I find peace." The teacher smiled and said, "Yes. When you accept discomfort as part of the path, it ceases to control you. It becomes part of the experience, and in that, there is peace." What would it be like to live with this kind of acceptance, to embrace discomfort as a natural part of life, knowing that it will pass, and that in the process, you can find peace? The Zen teachings remind us that discomfort is not our enemy, but a teacher. When we stop resisting it, we stop creating suffering around it. We are able to experience it fully and let it go when its time has passed. As you sit breathing deeply and calmly, you begin to feel the ease that comes with accepting the discomforts of life. You do not need to escape or avoid them. You simply allow them to be, knowing they are temporary. What remains when you embrace discomfort with acceptance? Only peace, only the quiet strength that comes from knowing that discomfort, like everything else, is part of the ebb and flow of life. And it will pass when its purpose has been fulfilled. The silence deepens, stretching out into the vastness, and with it comes a profound sense of inner stillness. As you sit breathing slowly, another teaching unfolds, the peace found in simplicity. Life often feels overwhelming, full of complexities, demands, and distractions. Yet true peace is found when we return to simplicity, when we strip away the unnecessary and focus on what truly matters. In the simplest moments, we can find the most profound peace. Imagine standing in a quiet room, the light soft, the air still. There is nothing to do, nowhere to go, and no one to be. You are simply present in this moment, feeling the calmness of just existing. The simplicity of your being, with no expectations, no pressures, is enough. It is in this simplicity that we find rest, for it is the essence of who we are, before the world adds layers and complexities to us. There is a Zen story about a monk who, after years of study and practice, asked his teacher, "Master, how can I find true peace?" The teacher replied, "When you stop seeking peace in complexity, you will find it in simplicity. Let go of your need for more, and in that release, you will find everything you need." The monk, still seeking answers, asked, "But how do I let go of everything?" The teacher smiled and said, "You do not need to let go of anything. Simply return to simplicity, to the quiet that is always here." What would it be like to live with the peace of simplicity, to focus on what truly matters, and to let go of the clutter that fills our minds and hearts? The Zen teachings remind us that the most profound truths are often the simplest. When we return to simplicity, we clear the space for peace to enter, allowing us to experience life in its purest form. As you sit quietly, breathing deeply, you begin to feel the relief of simplicity, the release of all the unnecessary distractions, the peace that arises when you stop seeking and simply exist. What remains when you embrace the simplicity of being only peace, only the quiet contentment that comes from being fully present in this moment exactly as you are. The world around you feels even more still now, as if the very fabric of time has softened, and all that exists is this moment. In this profound silence, another teaching arises softly, the beauty of acceptance without judgment. So often we find ourselves judging the world and the people around us, measuring them against our own standards, our own expectations. But true peace comes when we stop judging, when we simply accept life and others as they are, without the need to label or control them. Acceptance allows us to see the world without distortion, to appreciate it for its true nature. Imagine standing on the edge of a vast forest, taking in the trees, the flowers, the wildlife. You do not judge the trees for their size or the flowers for their color. You do not try to change the way they grow or force them into a different shape. You simply see them as they are, appreciating their existence in its fullness. This is the essence of acceptance without judgment, not seeing things through the lens of expectation, but simply seeing them as they are in their own unique form. There is a Zen story about a monk who was asked by a student, "How can I learn to accept life as it is?" The teacher replied, "Stop judging it. When you stop labeling things as good or bad, you will see them clearly." Acceptance does not mean agreeing with everything, but simply seeing it without judgment. The monk continued, "In that clarity, you will find peace. Judgment creates distance, while acceptance brings you closer to the truth." What would it be like to live without judgment, to see each moment, each person, without the need to categorize or control? The Zen teachings remind us that judgment keeps us separate from the present moment and from others. When we accept things without judgment, we open ourselves to the true beauty of life exactly as it is. As you sit breathing softly and deeply, you begin to feel the shift, your heart opening, your mind at ease. There is no need to judge, no need to label anything. You simply accept what is with love and understanding. What remains when you embrace life without judgment? Only peace, only the quiet recognition that everything is exactly as it should be. And in that acceptance, there is profound freedom. The stillness around you continues to grow deeper, as if the world has paused, leaving only the calm of the present moment. Within this peaceful silence, another teaching softly enters, the wisdom of detachment. Detachment is not about withdrawing from life or abandoning our connections, but about releasing the grip of attachment to outcomes, expectations, and material things. True freedom comes when we can love deeply, live fully, but hold nothing so tightly that it robs us of our peace. Imagine a bird perched on a branch. The bird does not cling to the branch. It simply sits, knowing that at any moment it may take flight. There is no fear of falling, no attachment to the branch, just an ease in being. This is the essence of detachment, being fully present in life, without the fear of loss, trusting that we can move through the world freely without being weighed down by the need to control or possess. There is a Zen story of a monk who, after years of seeking, asked his teacher, "Master, how can I live without attachment?" The teacher replied, "Look at the river. It flows freely, yet it is not attached to the banks. It moves with ease, knowing that it is always part of the greater flow." The monk asked again, "But how do I let go of attachment?" The teacher smiled and said, "You do not need to let go. You simply stop holding on." What would it be like to live with detachment, not as a way of withdrawing, but as a way of being fully present, without the need to control, possess, or hold on to anything? The Zen teachings remind us that detachment is not about avoiding life, but about living it with openness, knowing that we are not defined by the things we hold on to. As you sit breathing gently and deeply, you begin to feel the lightness that comes with detachment. There is no need to cling, no need to possess. You are simply here, fully alive in this moment, and in that freedom there is peace. What remains when you release the need to control, to hold on, or to possess? Only peace, only the quiet understanding that life flows freely, and so can you without the burden of attachment. The world around you is bathed in a deeper stillness, as if time itself has slowed to match the rhythm of your breath. In this sacred silence, another teaching emerges softly, the peace in embracing vulnerability. Often we protect ourselves, hiding our true selves out of fear of judgment or rejection. But true strength is found in vulnerability, the willingness to be open, to be seen as we are without armor or pretense. It is in allowing ourselves to be vulnerable that we connect most deeply with others and with life itself. Imagine standing in a quiet field, the wind gently brushing your face, your heart open and exposed to the world. You are not hiding, not shielding yourself, but simply standing fully present, fully yourself. There is no fear, no need to control how others perceive you. In your vulnerability, there is freedom because you are not bound by the fear of judgment. You are free to simply be. There is a Zen story about a monk who, after years of practice, was asked by his teacher, "What is the true strength of a person?" The monk replied, "It is the ability to face the world with an open heart without hiding behind the walls of fear or pride." The teacher smiled and said, "Yes. True strength comes from being vulnerable, from showing the world who you truly are." What would it be like to live with this openness, to embrace vulnerability as a source of strength rather than weakness? The Zen teachings remind us that vulnerability is not something to be feared, but something to be embraced. It is in vulnerability that we find connection, authenticity, and true peace. As you sit in this deep silence, you begin to feel the freedom that comes with being fully open. No walls, no defenses, just pure presence. There is nothing to hide, no need to protect yourself. You are simply here exactly as you are, and in that openness you find peace. What remains when you allow yourself to be fully vulnerable? Only peace, only the quiet joy that comes from embracing life with an open heart without fear or shame. The silence around you feels even more profound, as though the world has melted away, leaving only the stillness of your breath. In this peace, another teaching arises gently, the freedom of non-attachment to self-identity. So often we define ourselves by our roles, our accomplishments, or the labels we place upon ourselves. But true peace comes when we let go of these identities, recognizing that we are not limited by the stories we tell ourselves or the expectations others place on us. We are not defined by what we have done or what we will do, but by the simple fact that we exist fully as we are in this moment. Imagine a river flowing freely, not concerned with the name it is given, not holding on to any particular shape or form. The river simply flows, allowing itself to be what it is in each moment. It does not resist or try to define itself. It just moves, trusting in its natural course. This is how we can live free from the weight of labels, identities, and expectations, simply being fully present to the unfolding of life as it is. There is a Zen story about a monk who, after years of striving to find enlightenment, asked his teacher, "Master, who am I?" The teacher replied, "You are the river flowing freely without resistance. You are not defined by the banks of the river, nor by the water that moves within it. You are simply the flow of life itself." The monk in that moment understood that his true nature could not be confined to any label or identity. It was the essence of being simply existing without attachment to what he thought he was. What would it be like to live without attachment to your identity? To release the need to define yourself by your actions, roles, or past experiences? The Zen teachings remind us that our true nature is not found in our labels or achievements, but in our simple existence, in the quiet presence of being alive. As you sit breathing gently, you begin to feel the freedom that comes with letting go of self-identity. There is no need to hold on to who you think you are, or to try to be something else. You are enough just as you are in this moment. What remains when you let go of the need to define yourself? Only peace, only the deep understanding that you are not what you do, but simply what you are, alive, present, and whole. The quiet around you continues to deepen, and in this profound silence, another teaching arises gently, the peace in embracing uncertainty. Life is full of unknowns, and we often feel a desire to control what we cannot see, to predict and plan for the future. But true peace comes when we surrender to the uncertainty of life, trusting that we do not need to know everything in advance. When we embrace uncertainty, we free ourselves from the fear of the unknown, and we allow life to unfold in its own beautiful way. Imagine standing in a fog, unable to see the path clearly before you. The world seems veiled, uncertain, but rather than feeling lost, you take a deep breath and move forward, trusting that each step will reveal the next. There is no rush, no pressure to know what lies ahead. You simply trust the process, knowing that with each moment, the path will become clearer and you will find your way. There is a Zen story about a monk who, when asked by a student, "How can I know the future?" the teacher replied, "You cannot know the future, but you can trust the present. The future is shaped by the present moment. When you embrace the uncertainty of today, you will find the path unfolding in its own time." The student, still puzzled, asked, "But how do I move forward when I do not know the way?" The teacher smiled and said, "Move forward with trust, and the way will reveal itself." What would it be like to live with this acceptance of uncertainty, to stop trying to control what you cannot see, and simply move forward with trust and openness? The Zen teachings remind us that life's uncertainties are not obstacles, but opportunities. Opportunities to surrender to the flow and to find peace in not needing to know everything. As you sit breathing deeply and calmly, you begin to feel the release of the need to control the future. There is no need to have all the answers, no need to plan for every possible outcome. Life will unfold as it will, and in each moment you will be exactly where you need to be. What remains when you embrace the uncertainty of life? Only peace, only the quiet trust that in letting go of the need to know, you are free to experience each moment as it comes. The silence around you is now enveloping, as if all the space in the world has drawn inward to create this stillness, holding you gently in the present. In this profound peace, another teaching arises, the wisdom of patience in the unfolding of life. Life does not always move at the speed we desire, and we often find ourselves rushing or wishing for things to change. But true peace comes when we cultivate patience, allowing life to unfold at its natural pace, trusting that everything happens in its own time, and that we do not need to force anything to happen. Imagine a tree growing slowly over the years. It does not rush to reach the sky. It grows gradually, absorbing the sunlight, feeling the rain, and trusting that with time, it will grow as it is meant to. There is no impatience in the tree, it simply grows steadily and without resistance, knowing that its path is unfolding as it should. This is the essence of patience, not waiting passively for something to happen, but trusting the process of life and allowing things to unfold naturally. There is a Zen story of a monk who asked his teacher, "Master, how can I become enlightened more quickly?" The teacher replied, "The flower blooms when it is time. If you try to force it, it will never open. Let go of the hurry and allow yourself to bloom in your own time." The monk, still searching for a quicker way, asked again, "But how will I know when the time has come?" The teacher smiled and said, "You will know when you stop trying to know. When you trust that everything is unfolding as it should, you will realize that you are already where you need to be." What would it be like to live with patience, to trust that everything in your life is unfolding at its own pace? The Zen teachings remind us that patience is not about waiting idly, but about letting go of the need to force things. When we stop rushing, we open ourselves to life in its fullness, knowing that everything will happen when it is meant to. As you sit quietly, breathing deeply, you begin to feel the peace that comes with this kind of patience. There is no need to hurry, no need to strive. Life is unfolding naturally, and you are exactly where you need to be. What remains when you trust in the natural pace of life? Only peace, only the calm understanding that everything comes in its own time, and that this moment right here is enough. The quiet grows even more profound, as if time itself has become suspended in this moment of stillness. With each breath, you feel a deeper sense of peace. As another teaching arises gently, the liberation in letting go of the need to be perfect. So often, we find ourselves striving for perfection, whether in our actions, our thoughts, or the way we present ourselves to the world. But true freedom comes when we release the need to be perfect and accept that imperfection is part of what makes us whole. We are not defined by our flaws, but by our ability to accept and embrace them. Imagine a cracked bowl, its imperfections visible for all to see. Yet despite the cracks, it holds water perfectly. The cracks do not diminish its value. They simply make it a unique part of its natural beauty. This is the essence of imperfection, understanding that it is not something to be ashamed of, but something to be embraced. The cracks are not flaws. They are simply part of the journey, a reminder that we are human, ever evolving and learning. There is a Zen story of a master who, when asked by a student how to achieve perfection in practice, replied, "Perfection is not something you achieve. It is something you let go of. When you accept your own imperfections, you see the perfection in everything." The student, still seeking clarity, asked, "But how can imperfection be perfect?" The master smiled and said, "When you stop striving for perfection, you open yourself to the beauty of what is. The imperfection itself is the perfect path." What would it be like to live with this freedom, to let go of the need for perfection and simply accept yourself exactly as you are with all your imperfections? The Zen teachings remind us that perfection is a myth, an illusion we chase to avoid vulnerability. But when we embrace imperfection, we release the burden of expectation and allow ourselves to be fully present in each moment. As you sit breathing softly, you begin to feel the weight of perfectionism lift. There is no need to be anything other than what you are right now. You are enough just as you are with all your beautiful imperfections. What remains when you let go of the need to be perfect? Only peace, only the quiet, knowing that in embracing imperfection, you find the true freedom to simply be. The stillness surrounding you feels deeper now, as though the very fabric of time has softened to meet the rhythm of your breath. In this peace, another teaching rises, the strength in stillness and acceptance of what is. In a world that constantly demands action, movement, and change, stillness is often misunderstood as a sign of weakness or inactivity. But true strength lies in the ability to remain still and centered in the face of life's fluctuations, to accept each moment just as it is without the need to change it. Imagine a mountain standing tall and unwavering in the midst of a storm. The wind blows fiercely, the rain falls heavily, but the mountain remains steady, unmoved by the turmoil around it. It does not resist the storm. It simply stands anchored in its own strength. This is the essence of stillness, not inaction, but a calm, centered presence that allows you to face the challenges of life without being swept away by them. There is a Zen story about a monk who, after years of seeking peace, asked his teacher, "Master, how can I find peace amidst the storm of life?" The teacher replied, "Be like the mountain. Stand firm, unmoved by the wind. When you accept the storm as it is, you will find peace in the stillness that remains." The monk, realizing the depth of this wisdom, understood that peace is not something to be sought outside of himself, but something that arises from within when he learns to be still and accept the present moment. What would it be like to live with this inner stillness, to accept life as it is without needing to change it, resist it, or fight against it? The Zen teachings remind us that stillness is not passivity. It is an active form of acceptance. When we accept the present moment fully, we align ourselves with the natural flow of life, and in that alignment, we find strength. As you sit breathing slowly and deeply, you begin to feel the calm that comes from simply being in the present, fully accepting the moment, without the need for it to be any different. What remains when you embrace stillness and acceptance of what is only peace only? The quiet knowing that in this moment you are exactly where you need to be, and that everything around you is unfolding as it should. The world continues to hum quietly around you, as if the air itself is in sync with your calm breath. In this deepening stillness, another teaching arises gently, the freedom in releasing control. So often we feel the need to control everything in our lives, our thoughts, our circumstances, our relationships, believing that by doing so, we can create the life we desire. Yet true freedom comes when we let go of the need to control, and instead trust in the flow of life, allowing it to unfold naturally without resistance or force. Imagine a leaf drifting on a river, moving effortlessly with the current. It does not struggle against the water, nor does it try to change the direction it is carried. It simply lets go, trusting that the river will guide it where it needs to go. In the same way, we can live letting go of the need to control every aspect of our lives, trusting that life will carry us where we need to go. There is a Zen story about a monk who asked his teacher, "Master, how can I find peace when everything feels out of my control?" The teacher replied, "You cannot control the wind, but you can control the direction in which you sail. Let go of trying to control everything around you, and you will find peace in trusting the journey." The monk, understanding the teacher's words, realized that the key to peace lay not in controlling the circumstances of life, but in surrendering to them with trust. What would it be like to live without the constant need to control, to allow life to unfold in its own way? The Zen teachings remind us that control is an illusion, a source of tension and struggle. When we release the need to control, we make space for peace and freedom to enter, allowing life to guide us where we need to go. As you sit breathing deeply and calmly, you begin to feel the release of the need to control. There is no rush, no pressure, no need to shape the world to your will. You are simply here allowing life to unfold as it will. What remains when you let go of the need to control? Only peace. Only the quiet realization that you are not alone in this journey, and that the flow of life will always carry you forward. The stillness deepens, filling the space around you with a quiet serenity. With each breath, you feel more at peace. And in this calm, another teaching gently arises: the power of embracing the present moment. We often find ourselves looking back to the past or forward to the future, seeking meaning, understanding, or security. But true peace is found when we focus our attention on the present, on the moment right in front of us. The present is all we ever truly have, and in it, everything we need is already here. Imagine sitting by a quiet stream, watching the water flow gently by. The water does not worry about where it came from or where it is going. It simply flows moment by moment, never looking backward or ahead. Each drop of water is part of the whole, yet it is fully present in the moment, just as it is. This is the essence of living in the present, fully immersed in the moment, without distraction, without worry, simply being. There is a Zen story about a monk who, after years of meditation, was asked, "Master, how can I live in the present moment?" The teacher replied, "The present moment is all there is. Stop seeking to grasp it and simply let it be. When you stop trying to hold on to it, you will find that you are already in it." The monk, realizing the simplicity of this truth, understood that peace arises when we stop trying to change the present moment and simply accept it as it is. What would it be like to live fully in the present, to let go of the need to control time or chase after the future? The Zen teachings remind us that the present is the only moment that truly exists. When we release our attachment to past regrets or future anxieties, we open ourselves to the fullness of the now. As you sit breathing deeply, you begin to feel the freedom that comes with being fully present. There is no past to dwell on, no future to worry about, just this moment exactly as it is. What remains when you embrace the present moment without resistance or distraction? Only peace, only the quiet. Knowing that this moment right now is enough, and in that realization, you find everything you need. The stillness deepens, wrapping around you like a gentle, warm embrace, as if the world itself is breathing with you. In this quiet, another teaching arises softly: the strength of living with gratitude. Life is full of both blessings and challenges, yet often we focus only on what we lack or what is difficult. True peace comes when we cultivate gratitude, not just for the pleasant things, but for all of life, including the struggles as they shape us and help us grow. Imagine standing in a quiet forest, surrounded by the ancient trees that have stood for hundreds of years. They have witnessed countless seasons, some filled with abundance, others with loss. Yet they stand firm, their roots deep in the earth, grateful for every season, for each moment of growth. The trees do not judge the seasons as good or bad. They simply embrace each one as part of their journey. This is the essence of gratitude, seeing every moment as a gift, every experience, even the challenging ones, as an opportunity to grow. There is a Zen story about a monk who, upon encountering a difficult situation, was asked by his teacher, "What will you do now?" The monk replied, "I will be grateful for this challenge. It is teaching me patience, humility, and strength." The teacher smiled and said, "Yes, gratitude is the key to peace. When you accept every moment with an open heart, you will find peace in both the joy and the pain." What would it be like to live with gratitude for all of life's experiences, both the highs and the lows? The Zen teachings remind us that gratitude is not reserved for the easy moments. It is found when we embrace life in all its complexity, understanding that every moment is an opportunity for growth and learning. As you sit breathing slowly and deeply, you begin to feel the warmth of gratitude fill your heart. You are thankful for this moment, for the air in your lungs, for the quiet that surrounds you. You are grateful for all that has brought you to this place. What remains when you open your heart to gratitude for everything just as it is? Only peace, only the deep knowing that no matter the circumstances, you are exactly where you need to be. In that gratitude, you find everything you need. The quiet around you deepens, and the stillness becomes almost tangible, wrapping you in a cocoon of peace. In this moment, another teaching arises: the power of surrendering to life's flow. So often we fight against the current of life, trying to steer it in the direction we think it should go. Yet true peace comes when we surrender to the flow, trusting that life's course is always leading us to where we need to be. Surrender is not about giving up. It is about releasing the need to control and instead allowing life to unfold naturally as it always does. Imagine a leaf floating on the surface of a river, moving effortlessly with the current. The leaf does not struggle against the flow or try to control where it goes. It simply allows itself to be carried, trusting that the river will guide it to where it is meant to be. This is the essence of surrender, allowing life to carry you rather than trying to fight against it. There is a Zen story about a monk who, after years of meditation, was asked by his teacher, "What is the secret to finding peace?" The monk replied, "I have tried to control everything, but it has only led to frustration." The teacher smiled and said, "Peace comes when you stop trying to control the flow of life. Surrender to it, and you will find yourself where you need to be." What would it be like to live with this surrender, to release the need to control life, and instead trust in the process? The Zen teachings remind us that surrender is not about weakness. It is about strength. The strength to trust that everything is unfolding as it should, without the need to force it or make it happen. As you sit breathing deeply and slowly, you begin to feel the release of control. There is no need to push, no need to make things happen. Life is unfolding in its own time, and you are part of that flow. What remains when you surrender to the current of life? Only peace, only the quiet understanding that everything is moving exactly as it should, and that you are being carried along effortlessly and peacefully. The world around you seems to fade even more into stillness, as though every part of it has paused, allowing you to sink deeper into peace. In this serene space, another teaching emerges, the serenity in letting go of comparisons. So often we compare ourselves to others, measuring our worth against what others have or do. And in doing so, we lose sight of our own unique path. True peace comes when we release the need to compare and instead accept our own journey as it unfolds. Imagine a garden filled with different types of flowers, each one unique, each one blooming in its own time, its own way. One flower does not judge another for how it grows. Each one simply blooms as it is meant to. There is no comparison, only appreciation for the beauty of each individual flower. In the same way, when we stop comparing ourselves to others, we are free to appreciate our own growth, our own path, and the beauty of our unique journey. There is a Zen story about a monk who, while walking through a forest, noticed a tree that was bent in an unusual way. He marveled at its uniqueness and asked his teacher, "Why does this tree grow so differently from the others?" The teacher replied, "The tree does not compare itself to the others. It simply grows as it is meant to grow. Do not compare your path to others, for your growth is just as perfect as this tree's." What would it be like to live without comparing yourself to others, to accept that your journey is your own, and that it does not need to look like anyone else's? The Zen teachings remind us that comparison only leads to dissatisfaction. When we let go of comparing ourselves to others, we free ourselves to live authentically, fully present in our own experience. As you sit quietly, breathing deeply, you begin to feel the lightness that comes from releasing the weight of comparison. There is no need to measure your path against anyone else's. You are exactly where you need to be, growing in your own time, in your own way. What remains when you let go of comparison? Only peace, only the quiet understanding that your journey is perfect in its own unique unfolding. And in that understanding, you find true freedom. The world around you is filled with a profound stillness, as though time itself has softened to meet the rhythm of your breath. In this deep peace, another teaching arises, the freedom in releasing the need to control outcomes. Life often feels like a series of events we need to manage, guide, and control. But true peace comes when we release the need for things to unfold in a certain way. When we let go of our attachment to specific outcomes, we allow ourselves to experience life fully without the weight of expectations. Imagine a cloud drifting effortlessly across the sky. It does not try to reach a specific point or shape itself in any way. It simply exists, carried by the wind, free to move as it is meant to. There is no worry in the cloud about where it will go because it trusts in the natural flow of the air. This is the essence of releasing control, letting go of the need to dictate every moment, and allowing life to move in its own way, trusting that it will carry you where you need to go. There is a Zen story about a monk who, after struggling for years to control his thoughts and emotions, asked his teacher, "Master, how can I finally master my mind?" The teacher replied, "You are not here to control the wind. You are here to sail your boat with the wind. When you stop resisting it, you will find that the wind carries you effortlessly." The monk, realizing the depth of this wisdom, understood that peace is not about controlling life, but about releasing the need to control and moving with its natural flow. What would it be like to live without the constant need to control outcomes, to simply trust that life will unfold as it is meant to? The Zen teachings remind us that when we release the need to control, we open ourselves to freedom. We allow life to guide us, and in that surrender, we find peace. As you sit breathing deeply and calmly, you begin to feel the release of the desire to control, as if it is being gently lifted from your shoulders. There is no need to force anything, no need to steer the course of your life. Life will unfold in its own time, and you will move with it. What remains when you let go of control? Only peace, only the quiet understanding that everything is as it should be, and you are part of its perfect unfolding. The stillness around you continues to deepen, as if the very essence of the universe is holding space for this moment. With each breath, you feel yourself sinking more fully into peace, and in this serene silence, another teaching arises, the wisdom in embracing imperfection. In a world that often values perfection, we can become caught in the desire to fix, to improve, to be flawless. But true peace comes when we accept that imperfection is an integral part of life. It is through our imperfections that we learn, grow, and become more authentic. Imagine a stone lying on the ground, weathered by time, its surface uneven and cracked. Yet in its imperfection, there is a quiet beauty. The stone does not try to hide its flaws. It simply exists as it is whole in its imperfection. It is in embracing its natural state, with all its cracks and marks, that it is fully alive, fully present in its truth. There is a Zen story about a monk who, after years of striving for perfection in his practice, went to his teacher and said, "Master, I feel I am failing. I cannot attain the perfection I seek." The teacher replied, "The moon does not shine brighter because you look at it harder. Accept that your path is imperfect, and in that acceptance, you will find peace." The monk, deeply moved, realized that perfection was not the goal, but the journey itself. What would it be like to live with the wisdom of imperfection, to embrace each part of yourself without striving to be flawless. The Zen teachings remind us that true peace is found when we accept ourselves as we are, flaws and all. It is not in our perfection, but in our acceptance of our imperfections that we find our most authentic selves. As you sit breathing deeply, you begin to feel the weight of striving for perfection lift. There is no need to be flawless, no need to chase an ideal. You are enough as you are in this moment, imperfect and whole. What remains when you embrace imperfection? Only peace, only the deep understanding that your journey with all its ups and downs is exactly as it should be, and that you are exactly where you need to be. The world around you remains still, as if it is holding its breath, allowing the quiet to deepen even further. In this sacred silence, another teaching emerges gently, the peace of being content with what is. So often we find ourselves longing for something more, thinking that peace or happiness will come when we reach a certain goal, achieve a specific outcome, or acquire something new. But true peace is found when we embrace life exactly as it is without the constant need for more. Contentment comes when we stop chasing after the future and simply appreciate the present for what it offers. Imagine standing on a quiet hill at sunrise, watching the first light spread across the sky. You do not wish for the day to be different or faster. You do not seek more, just the beauty of the moment exactly as it is. The air is fresh, the colors are soft, and in this moment, everything is perfect, exactly as it is. This is the essence of contentment, embracing the present without the desire for it to be any different. There is a Zen story about a monk who, after years of seeking external sources of happiness, asked his teacher-master, "When will I find peace?" The teacher replied, "Peace is not something you seek outside of yourself. It is already here in this moment, in the simple act of being. Stop seeking more, and you will find contentment in what is." The monk, realizing the depth of the teacher's words, understood that peace does not come from attaining more, but from fully embracing what is already here. What would it be like to live with this contentment, to stop constantly seeking for more, and instead appreciate life exactly as it is? The Zen teachings remind us that happiness does not come from accumulation or achievement, but from the acceptance of the present moment. When we stop chasing after what we think we need, we can find peace in the simple act of being. As you sit breathing deeply and calmly, you begin to feel the peace of contentment filling your heart. There is no need for more. No need to reach for something else. You are enough as you are in this moment. What remains when you embrace contentment with what is only peace only? The deep understanding that everything you need is already here in this present moment. The stillness around you feels complete, as though the very air itself has softened to embrace the depth of this moment. In this quiet, another teaching rises gently, the freedom in releasing the need to be right. So often we find ourselves attached to being correct or proving our point, believing that validation from others will bring us peace. But true peace comes when we let go of the need to be right and instead open ourselves to understanding, listening, and embracing the perspectives of others without needing to assert our own. Imagine a vast sky, clear and open. It does not seek to control the clouds or the wind. It simply allows them to pass through. The sky knows that everything moves, and in its vastness, it holds space for all. Similarly, when we release the need to be right, we allow space for differing views, knowing that no single perspective defines the whole. We can coexist peacefully with diverse ideas and experiences, free from the need to prove ourselves. There is a Zen story about a monk who, during a discussion with his teacher, became fixated on being right. He argued his point repeatedly until the teacher simply said, "The truth is not something to be won. It is something to be understood." When you let go of the need to be right, you will find peace in listening, in accepting, in learning. The monk, hearing these words, realized that peace does not come from proving others wrong, but from embracing the fluidity of truth and allowing for growth and understanding. What would it be like to live without the constant need to be right, to simply release the need for validation, and instead listen with openness and understanding? The Zen teachings remind us that the need to be right is a form of attachment, and when we let it go, we free ourselves to experience deeper connection and peace with others. As you sit breathing softly and deeply, you begin to feel the weight of needing to be right lift. There is no need to defend or prove anything. You can simply be allowing space for others to be as they are. What remains when you let go of the need to be right? Only peace, only the quiet understanding that in the openness of listening and accepting, we create space for greater connection and understanding. The world around you feels vast and open now, as though you are no longer separate from the entire universe. In this profound stillness, another teaching emerges, the peace found in releasing expectations of others. So often we carry expectations about how others should behave, what they should say, or how they should treat us. These expectations create tension and disappointment when they are not met. True peace comes when we release these expectations and allow others to be as they are, without trying to mold them into something they are not. Imagine a river flowing through a landscape. The river does not try to change the terrain it moves through, nor does it hold expectations about the rocks, trees, or soil it passes. It simply flows, accepting whatever comes in its path without resistance. In the same way, when we let go of our expectations of others, we allow them the freedom to be themselves. And in doing so, we free ourselves from the burden of disappointment and frustration. There is a Zen story about a monk who asked his teacher, "Master, how can I find peace when others do not behave as I wish?" The teacher replied, "When you stop trying to control the river's flow, you will find peace. What would it be like to live without the constant weight of expectations, to allow others to be as they are, without judgment or frustration. The Zen teachings remind us that when we let go of expectations, we find peace in the freedom to simply accept others as they are, without needing them to fit into our preconceived notions. As you sit breathing deeply and calmly, you begin to feel the lightness that comes with releasing the need for others to meet your expectations. There is no need to control their actions or responses. You can simply be with them as they are, allowing space for them to grow and change in their own time. What remains when you let go of expectations of others? Only peace, only the quiet understanding that true freedom and peace come from accepting others without condition, without the need to change them. The stillness around you deepens further, filling the space with a sense of profound serenity. In this quiet, another teaching arises softly, the power of surrendering to the present moment. So often we spend our lives focused on the past or the future, chasing memories or hoping for what's to come. But true peace comes when we stop clinging to what was or what might be, and simply embrace the moment we are in right now. The present moment is all we truly have, and in it we find everything we need. Imagine standing by the shore of a calm ocean, the waves gently lapping at your feet. There is no need to hurry, no need to change anything. You are simply present, feeling the cool water, hearing the soft waves, seeing the horizon. You are not waiting for the waves to stop or for the sun to rise. You are not wishing for anything to be different. You are simply here, completely engaged in the present moment, accepting it exactly as it is. There is a Zen story about a monk who, after years of seeking peace in the future, was asked by his teacher, "When will you find peace?" The monk replied, "I am waiting for the right moment." The teacher smiled and said, "Peace is not something to wait for. It is already here in the moment you are living. When you stop waiting for the future, you will find that peace is right here, right now." What would it be like to live with this surrender to the present, to let go of the need to plan, to control, or to anticipate? The Zen teachings remind us that peace is not something to be found in the future or in the past. It is already here in the only moment we truly possess this one. As you sit breathing deeply and slowly, you begin to feel the ease that comes with surrendering to the present moment. There is no need to grasp at the past or chase the future. You are simply here living this moment fully, exactly as it is. What remains when you surrender to the present? Only peace, only the quiet, knowing that in this moment you have everything you need and you are enough just as you are. The quiet around you is profound, and in it you feel deeply connected to the rhythm of your own breath. The world seems to have slowed, giving way to a stillness that allows another teaching to emerge gently, the peace in accepting the natural flow of change. Life is always shifting, everything around us is in a constant state of transformation. So often we resist change, fearing the unknown, or wanting things to stay the same. But true peace comes when we accept that change is the only constant, and that it is in the flow of change that we grow and evolve. Imagine a tree, its leaves turning from green to gold as the seasons change. It does not hold onto its leaves, nor does it resist the coming of autumn. It simply allows the change to happen, knowing that in the spring new leaves will grow. The tree trusts the cycle of life, and in that trust, it finds peace in the process of change. There is a Zen story about a monk who asked his teacher, "Master, how can I stop resisting change?" The teacher replied, "The river does not resist the rocks or the bends in its path. It simply flows around them. When you stop resisting the flow of change, you will find peace in every shift that comes." The monk, understanding the wisdom of the teacher's words, realized that peace is not found in the avoidance of change, but in embracing it as a natural part of life. What would it be like to live with acceptance of change, to let go of the fear of the unknown, and trust that everything is unfolding as it should? The Zen teachings remind us that life is constantly shifting, and our peace comes not from fighting against change, but from embracing it and flowing with it. As you sit breathing deeply and gently, you begin to feel the ease that comes with surrendering to change. There is no need to resist, no need to control how things unfold. Change is a natural part of life, and in accepting it, you open yourself to new possibilities and growth. What remains when you embrace the flow of change? Only peace, only the quiet understanding that life is unfolding perfectly, and that you are part of that ever-changing, beautiful process. The silence around you continues to deepen, and within this stillness, another teaching arises, the peace found in letting go of fear. Fear often keeps us from living fully. It holds us back from taking risks, from being our true selves, and from embracing the unknown. But true peace comes when we let go of the grip fear has on us. When we release the hold of fear, we open ourselves to life, to possibility, and to the beauty of the present moment. Imagine standing at the edge of a great cliff, looking out over a vast expanse. The wind is gentle, the sky is clear, and though fear might arise, you take a deep breath and step forward, trusting that you are supported. The fear does not define you. It does not control you. You simply move with courage, knowing that in each step you take, the world becomes more open and expansive. There is a Zen story about a monk who was terrified of crossing a river. He would stand on the bank, unsure of how to proceed, gripped by the fear of what might happen. His teacher, seeing his struggle, said, "The river is already here, and you are already standing at its edge. The only thing holding you back is your fear. Let go of it, and you will find your way across." The monk, taking a deep breath, finally let go of his fear and crossed the river with ease, realizing that the fear had only been an illusion holding him in place. What would it be like to live without the constant weight of fear, to let go of the stories and anxieties that keep you from fully embracing life? The Zen teachings remind us that fear is a natural part of being human, but it does not need to control us. When we let go of fear, we free ourselves to live more fully, more authentically. As you sit breathing slowly and deeply, you begin to feel the release of fear, like a cloud passing through the sky. It moves through you without holding on to you. There is no need to be afraid of what might come, for you are already here in this moment. And everything you need is already within you. What remains when you let go of fear? Only peace, only the quiet understanding that the path ahead is open and that you have the strength to walk it one step at a time. The stillness around you deepens, and within it, there is a profound sense of clarity. With each breath, you feel the peace expanding, creating space for another, teaching the freedom of releasing guilt and regret. So often we carry the weight of past mistakes or missed opportunities, believing that we must punish ourselves for what we did or didn't do. But true peace comes when we let go of the burden of guilt and regret, accepting that we are human and that each moment offers a chance to begin anew. Imagine walking through a field with the weight of heavy stones in your pockets. The stones are the regrets and guilt you carry, and as you walk, you feel their weight pulling you down, slowing you. But then you come to a stream and you decide to let go of the stones. One by one, you place them into the water, watching them float away. As you do, you feel lighter, freer, and more at ease. The path before you becomes clearer, and your steps feel more grounded. There is a Zen story about a monk who, after years of living in guilt over a past mistake, asked his teacher, "Master, how can I find peace when I cannot forgive myself?" The teacher replied, "When you stop carrying the weight of your past, you will find peace in the present." Every moment is a chance to release the past and embrace what is now. The monk, understanding this wisdom, realized that his guilt had only kept him from moving forward. When he let go of it, peace was already waiting for him. What would it be like to live without the burden of guilt or regret, to release the weight of past actions and embrace the present without judgment? The Zen teachings remind us that the past is behind us and that the only moment we have is now. When we let go of the past, we open ourselves to the possibility of a new path, free from the weight of our mistakes. As you sit breathing deeply and slowly, you begin to feel the release of guilt and regret. The stones are falling away, leaving you lighter, freer, and more open to the present moment. What remains when you let go of the past? Only peace, only the quiet, knowing that you are free to begin again, and that each moment holds the possibility of a new beginning. The quiet around you grows even deeper, as if the world itself is holding space for the wisdom that is emerging within you. In this peaceful moment, another teaching arises, the peace of releasing the need to impress others. So often we seek validation and approval from those around us, shaping our actions and words to meet external expectations. But true peace comes when we release the need to be seen in a certain light, to perform or be recognized. We find freedom when we can simply be ourselves without the pressure to prove anything. Imagine standing in the middle of a vast open field with no one around to judge or observe you. There is no need to perform, to be anything other than exactly what you are. The wind moves freely, the grass sways gently, and in that moment, you realize that you do not need anyone's approval to be worthy. You are enough just as you are. There's a Zen story about a monk who spent years perfecting his meditation practice, hoping to impress his teacher and his fellow monks. One day his teacher asked him, "Why do you practice so hard?" The monk replied, "To show others my skill and wisdom." The teacher smiled and said, "True wisdom comes when you stop trying to impress. Your practice is for your own growth, not for the admiration of others." The monk, hearing these words, understood that his peace would come when he let go of the need for validation and simply practiced for the sake of his own growth. What would it be like to live without the need to impress others, to free yourself from the pressure of external validation? The Zen teachings remind us that true peace is found when we stop seeking approval from others and simply live authentically, fully embracing who we are in each moment. As you sit, breathing deeply and gently, you begin to feel the release of the need to impress or perform. There is no need to prove anything to anyone. You are enough exactly as you are. What remains when you let go of the need for validation? Only peace, only the quiet understanding that your worth is not determined by others, but by your own acceptance of yourself. In that acceptance, you find freedom. The stillness around you deepens even further, and with it, the sense of clarity and calm that fills the space. As you breathe softly, another teaching arises gently, the peace in embracing the impermanence of all things. Life is a constant flow of change, nothing stays the same forever, and each moment passes by. So often we resist change, holding on to what we know and fear the unknown. But true peace comes when we embrace the impermanence of life, understanding that change is an inherent part of our journey, and that in letting go, we make space for new possibilities. Imagine the cycle of the seasons, with winter gradually yielding to spring, and then to summer, and finally autumn. Each season has its own beauty, its own purpose, yet none of them lasts forever. The trees shed their leaves, the flowers bloom and fade, and each transition is part of the natural flow of life. There is no need to hold on to the past. Each season offers its gifts, and each one gives way to the next in perfect harmony. There is a Zen story about a monk who, upon hearing a bird sing, became saddened by the thought that the bird would eventually stop singing. His teacher, noticing his sadness, said, "The song of the bird is beautiful because it will not last. Its impermanence makes it precious. If the bird sang forever, would you still appreciate its song?" The monk, realizing the depth of the teaching, understood that the beauty of life lies in its fleeting nature, and that true peace comes from accepting that everything, whether joyful or sorrowful, is temporary. What would it be like to live with the awareness of impermanence, to understand that everything is constantly changing, and to accept this with an open heart. The Zen teachings remind us that in embracing impermanence, we stop clinging to what is fleeting, and instead experience each moment, fully appreciating it for what it is, knowing that it will pass. As you sit breathing gently and deeply, you begin to feel the lightness that comes with accepting the impermanence of life. There is no need to hold on to anything or resist the changes around you. Everything flows, and in that flow there is peace. What remains when you embrace the impermanence of all things? Only peace, only the quiet understanding that every moment is precious because it will pass. And that is the very nature of life. In that acceptance, you find freedom. The stillness around you feels infinite now, as if the very universe has slowed to match your breath. Each moment feels expansive, and in this deep peace, another teaching arises, the liberation found in letting go of attachment to outcomes. So often we become attached to specific outcomes, believing that we will only be happy when things unfold in a particular way. But true peace comes when we release our attachment to outcomes and allow life to unfold naturally, free from the expectations of what should be. Imagine a flower opening in the morning. It does not force its petals to open, nor does it worry about whether it will bloom fully. It simply allows itself to open in its own time with no attachment to how it should look or when it should bloom. It trusts in its own process, knowing that each stage of its growth is perfect as it is. This is the essence of letting go of attachment to outcomes, being fully present in the process, without the need to control or predict the result. There is a Zen story about a monk who, after years of hard practice, asked his teacher, "Master, how can I become enlightened?" The teacher replied, "When you stop striving for enlightenment and simply allow yourself to be, enlightenment will find you." The monk, puzzled, asked, "But how do I stop striving?" The teacher smiled and said, "When you let go of your attachment to the outcome, you will find that everything you seek is already here. What would it be like to live with this freedom, to release the need for specific outcomes, and to trust that life will unfold as it is meant to?" The Zen teachings remind us that peace is not found in achieving a goal or reaching a particular destination, but in the freedom of letting go of the need for things to be a certain way. As you sit breathing deeply and calmly, you begin to feel the release of attachment to any particular outcome. There is no need to control what will happen next. Life will unfold in its own way, and you are part of that unfolding. What remains when you let go of attachment to outcomes? Only peace, only the quiet, knowing that you are exactly where you need to be, and that the journey itself is the true gift. The stillness around you seems to grow even deeper, like a soft cocoon enveloping you in peace. With each breath, you feel more deeply connected to the rhythm of the present moment. In this calm, another teaching emerges softly, the freedom found in embracing uncertainty. Life is unpredictable, and often we feel the urge to control or anticipate what lies ahead. But true peace comes when we embrace the unknown, when we trust that we do not need to have everything figured out because the present moment is all we can truly influence. Imagine standing on the edge of a forest, shrouded in mist. You cannot see the path ahead clearly, but instead of feeling anxious, you take a deep breath and begin to walk forward step by step, trusting that the path will reveal itself as you go. You do not need to know everything. You only need to trust the journey and move forward with courage and presence. There is a Zen story about a monk who, while traveling, was asked by his student, "How do I walk the path when I cannot see what lies ahead?" The teacher smiled and said, "The path is revealed with each step you take. Do not worry about where it leads. Simply walk with trust in the present moment." The monk, realizing the wisdom in this, understood that peace comes not from knowing the future, but from walking with faith in the present moment. What would it be like to live with this freedom, to embrace the uncertainty of life without fear or hesitation? The Zen teachings remind us that the unknown is not something to be feared, but something to be embraced. When we let go of the need to know everything, we open ourselves to the beauty and flow of life as it unfolds. As you sit breathing deeply and gently, you begin to feel the weight of uncertainty lift. There is no need to control what comes next, no need to know what lies ahead. You are simply here walking the path of life with trust and acceptance. What remains when you embrace uncertainty? Only peace, only the quiet confidence that the path will reveal itself when you are ready, and that you are already exactly where you need to be. The silence around you is now all-encompassing, as though the entire world has quietly folded into this moment with you. In this deep peace, another teaching arises gently, the liberation in releasing the need for approval. So often we look to others for validation, measuring our worth against their opinions, desires, and expectations. But true peace comes when we stop seeking approval from others and instead find our value within ourselves. When we no longer seek external affirmation, we create space for deep self-acceptance and inner freedom. Imagine a tree standing in the forest. It does not look to the other trees for approval of its shape, its size, or its growth. It simply grows rooted in the earth and stretches toward the sky. It does not seek to compare itself to the others, for it understands that its existence is valuable simply because it is. In the same way, when we release the need for approval, we free ourselves to grow as we are without comparison or judgment. There is a Zen story about a monk who, after years of practice, asked his teacher, "Master, how can I find peace?" The teacher replied, "You will find peace when you stop seeking approval from others. Know that your worth is not determined by what others think of you, but by your own understanding of yourself." The monk, realizing the depth of these words, understood that peace comes from accepting himself fully, without needing the approval of anyone else. What would it be like to live without the constant need for approval, to stop measuring your worth by the opinions of others. The Zen teachings remind us that true peace and contentment arise from within. When we stop seeking validation, we open ourselves to the fullness of who we are. As you sit breathing deeply and calmly, you begin to feel the release of the need for approval. There is no need to prove anything to anyone. You are enough just as you are, and in this moment you are free. What remains when you release the need for approval? Only peace. Only the quiet knowing that your worth is not determined by others, but by your own acceptance and understanding of yourself. And in that acceptance, you find true freedom. As the world around you settles into a quiet, peaceful rhythm, you begin to feel a deep sense of calm and contentment. In this moment, there is no need for anything more. The journey, the teachings, and the stillness have all brought you to this place of peace. You are exactly where you need to be, embraced by the serenity of the present moment. And if you're still awake, that's okay too. Some nights just lying still and breathing softly is enough to return home to yourself.